Yeah, that's correct. I ain't gonna be on here long, but I'm hearing this conversation. Oh, I seen on Twitter this morning a reaction to the situation around Terrence Crawford and Canelo when they're talking about the resume. And Canelo basically called out Terrence Crawford's resume as not having elite fighters on it. And then, people was responding to Terrence Crawford saying something about Ricky Burns and Victor Postol as being elite fighters. People was kind of mad at that Terrence Crawford was saying that Ricky Burns and Victor Postol was elite fighters. So my whole reaction to the whole thing is, first off, from what I've seen, because this is the real conversation. What they was doing as far as the press conference and recently, I think that was more so just for views because this is a whole different conversation. But I'll probably get into towards the end, just my whole outlook on everything. But as far as what Terrence Crawford said, people said that he should have said Earl Spence and Gamboa and things like that. But I'm gonna be honest with you. Most of the people who are saying this, that Terrence Crawford should have said Gamboa and other guys being elite, most fans and people who think alike like these people didn't even think Gamboa was an elite fighter when he fought him. I don't know when Terrence Crawford started getting credit for his resume. What elite fighters he supposed to be naming? Because they said he ain't fighting nobody elite. I'm confused, bro. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I know people gonna run off when I say this, but yeah, I'm talking about y'all. If you get offended by this, I'm talking about you. Because we're gonna have a whole summer where it's already been what 4 or 5 days since the press conference, and I done seen capping. I'm talking about super hypocritical about everything. There's so much capping going on. So first off, last year, Terrence Crawford ain't fought nobody. He need to fight Boots. Then they turn around and say, so just a couple of months ago and last year, people were saying Boots was better than Earl Spence. They were just saying this last year. Boots better than Earl Spence. Boots better than Earl Spence. He ain't fought nobody. He need to fight Boots. Ain't that what everybody been saying? Man, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. A lot of this stuff be so emotional that be going on. It don't even got no even. It don't even got no reason. It's all over the place. Now all of a sudden he supposed to be naming a whole bunch of elite people. When he was fighting Gamboa, they said he ain't fighting nobody. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Destroyed the resume. Destroyed the resume. Then made it seem like what happened to Spence wasn't no big deal. Like anybody could do that to Spence. Man, you had dudes that's fans of Spence that was making it seem like anybody could have did it. Or something went wrong. Like, bro, y'all acting like Spence got put to sleep or something. The man was standing up when the fight got stopped, so obviously he wasn't getting destroyed like that. They act like he got knocked out like he was fighting Wilder or something. For the last year and a half, 2 years, well, last 2 years, I've been hearing everybody letting people say everything about Spence. And because Terrence Crawford ain't said his name, now people mad. Man, you can get up out of here with that, please. Ain't nobody been defending Spence for the last 2 years. They've been letting everybody talk bad about Spence, and now they worry about Terrence Crawford. Y'all just don't like Terrence Crawford. Period. You just don't like him. And people gonna sit up here and go, oh yeah, I think he can win. They don't like Terrence Crawford. Period. Ain't nobody gonna fool me. That's why I chill. I ain't even pay attention to the press conference. You can't fool me. I've been watching boxing too long. That's why I did not do no lives about no press conference. I'm not finna be in the mix with everybody else. I guess everybody got a phone call to do a reaction to the second press conference instead of the first one, because everybody reacted to the second press conference, but the first one, it was more words said in the first one than the second one. I ain't finna be. That's why I ain't reporting. I said we got all summer. Y'all see how everybody turned on Terrence Crawford? He ain't even said nothing. He was saying the same thing he was saying 10 years ago. Oh, they weren't watching him 10 years ago. My bad. Terrence Crawford was saying that 10 years ago. He thought Ricky Burns was an elite fighter 10 years ago. I don't know if people know it, but that was a big deal to Terrence Crawford when he beat Ricky Burns. Ricky Burns might be a bum to everybody else, but when Terrence Crawford beat Ricky Burns, they gave him the confidence to go out there and stop Earl Spence. So it might not be a big deal to you because you ain't boxing. So everything you thought that can get Terrence Crawford in front of Canelo, it didn't work. He still got in front of Canelo. And I'm gonna be honest with you too. All these dudes out here talking about Terrence Crawford ain't got no elite resume and who is Ricky Burns and stuff. Terrence Crawford would have had a more elite resume if dudes went out here protecting Jermell Charlo, talking about Terrence Crawford going up 7 pounds is too heavy. If dudes went out here protecting Jermell Charlo away from Terrence Crawford would actually have an elite resume. They didn't want to. They gave Charlo to Canelo. Y'all don't remember? Charlo couldn't just beat Terrence Crawford, then go and fight Canelo. No, this is my only chance. Let me go ahead and do this. So that's the only reason I give Spence credit, because Spence could have been like, man, I'm just fighting Canelo. I ain't got to fight Terrence Crawford. That's why I give Spence credit. These other dudes is cowards. Period. Earl Spence ain't chased the bag like that. He could have chased the bag more than what he did. These other dudes really chased the bag. Now Terrence Crawford ain't getting credit, because that's what I'm saying, bro. They don't like Terrence Crawford, bro. It is what it is. I can't change their mind, but they can't fool me. And then they giving other dudes credit. Let me ask anybody right here, right now. Who did before Teofimo fought Lomachenko? They was acting like Teofimo was an elite fighter. They still act like Teofimo an elite fighter. Before he fought Lomachenko, what has he done? Matter of fact, I asked another question. After Lomachenko, what has he done? But they treat him like he elite, right? Off of one win, right? So what really is elite? So everybody talking about, I know what elite is. Y'all don't know what elite is? Please. Joshua just went out there and lost every round of the boy. You don't know what elite is. Stop it, homie. You looking the other way. They looking the other way, bro. End of the day, this live is for the real ones. This ain't for the suckers. This for the real ones. They give all these other fighters who got one win on their resume, calling them elite, going 12 rounds with guys that have been stopped before, calling these guys elite. Man, stop it. When it comes to Terrence Crawford, y'all ain't qualified to talk about him. Period. It's over with. Y'all about to talk about Canelo, because Canelo not nobody like that. Oh, is Berlanga elite? Is Munguia elite? Is Munguia elite? And Munguia was going all outside of Canelo head. Is Munguia elite? I don't know if everybody know it or not, but Munguia just got knocked out badly recently. And Canelo was going life and death with him, to the point when people say he had to carry Canelo. I mean, Canelo had to carry him. I ain't trying to hear that. It's 2025. That resume Canelo got, it sound good. But when I turn on the fights, it don't look good. Yeah, it ain't that impressive. The kids ain't checking for Canelo. Ain't no little kids right now checking for Canelo. When Canelo gonna fight? They not checking for him. They checking for Jake Paul. I don't. I guess everybody forgot how we got here. That nice resume Canelo got. Yeah, Jake Paul got popular while he was doing all that. So it sound good, but yeah, it sound good. Now all of a sudden, Charlo going from 54 to 68. That's an elite fight. Yeah, all right. But these dudes choose when they want to give somebody credit and when they don't. Now all of a sudden, so Jamel Charlo better than Terrence Crawford? Why they ain't fight each other then? And people don't think that Terrence Crawford can do the bare minimum of what Jamel Charlo did. Why they ain't fight each other? What's up, Joseph Baylor? What's going on, dog? He definitely will fall because he made a mistake. Sitting up here trolling the man. He got all these cameras he ain't never had in his face before. See, I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. The moment got too big for Canelo. That's the most cameras he ever had in his face. The moment got too big for him. He just said a couple of days ago he wasn't gonna do no trash talking. I'm not gonna be on here long either. You know what I'm saying? Probably be on here like an hour. But he did all this trash talking. But he said recently in the post, "Oh man, we ain't gonna do no trash talking. We ain't gotta do that. We elite fighters." Terrence Crawford like, all right. Then as soon as he get up there in front of Dana White and everybody, now he trash talking. Like, man, come on, man. But these dudes, that's why I say when it comes to resume, it sound good, bro. I figured out people ain't qualified to have conversations about no resume. I'm being real. People just found out Lamont Roach good. If I would have said Lamont Roach one of the best fighters out here last year, like I was saying, yeah, they would have looked like who? Lamont Roach. I ain't never heard of him before. What kind of resume he got? So before Tank fought Lamont Roach, didn't everybody say Lamont Roach ain't had no resume? So we listen to these guys? These the guys who talking right now? Bro, let me say my bro. It's gonna be a lovely year. I can't wait till Lamont Roach get back in the ring. All these people who got crazy opinions, like everybody just like they still stuck on big names. All right, we're gonna see how that works. Y'all still thinking about big names. I'm talking about experts. We still thinking about big names. Y'all think that matter in boxing? Yeah, people say how George Kambosos, he cooked, he done. Teofimo still ain't trying to get in the ring with him. Even though he cooked, done, and everything else. He sauteed, he still ain't trying to get that smoke back. And we talking about who resumes is this and this. If Terrence Crawford had a loss like Kambosos on his resume, wouldn't nobody be checking for him in boxing? We got different standards for everybody. If he would have took a knee against a guy like Tank in like the 6th round, would nobody be checking for him? Ever. Talking about resumes. Who got a good resume? Who these people say got a good resume? Let me tell y'all something. This is why I ain't gonna talk that much today. Joseph Parker went out there and went 12 rounds with Deontay Wilder. He went out there and got dropped twice against Zane. Went the distance. Then goes in this fight, gets a backup. What's the dude name? Bacoli. He steps in as a late replacement. Basically hits him on the top of the head. Drops him. And the fight's over. After Bacoli stands up wobbly. And they acting like, yeah, he got a super elite resume. You went 12 rounds with Wilder. Then you got dropped twice the next fight. How was that impressive? But you got everybody running around like people running from him. Oh, Usyk need to fight him for what? Dude got dropped twice recently. Come on, man. These dudes talking about resumes? Come on. We still reading the newspaper in 2025? Quit showing your age, man. Quit showing your age. We got all this technology and dudes still picking up newspapers. Cut it out. These dudes ain't got no resumes like that. And if anybody know me, every time somebody has said something about Earl Spence over the last 2 years, even though from the outside in, people would think I'm a Crawford, more of a Crawford fan, but I don't separate nobody. I know it's somebody elite. I had to be one of the first guys, if not the first guy on the internet to say that Spence got a better resume than Triple G. Nobody had no response though. So I'm speak on this because I ain't got no bias toward this. No way. But I'm gonna say this right now. Before Spence fought Mikey Garcia, everybody was guaranteeing a knockout. Then after the fight, people like, oh, well, Mikey Garcia a beast. Yeah, he was a beast before he got in the ring with Earl Spence, though. He wasn't a beast to everybody until he went 12 rounds. If Terrence Crawford would have been in that same position, everybody say he's a bum. And you want to know how I'm gonna prove that right? When he went 12 rounds with Majamov recently, what did everybody say? Oh, he trash. He trash, man. He went 12 rounds with that dude. But then Virgil Ortiz go out there and do the same. Y'all notice ain't nobody bragging about what Virgil Ortiz did against Majamov because he did basically the same thing. So what are we talking about? So what are we talking about? Are we still talking about resumes? Come on, man. These dudes don't know what a good resume is. They talking about big names. You know how many dudes that got beat up by no name? Zane just got stopped by a dude named Ajit Caviel at heavyweight, who's undefeated, has not lost one fight in Riyadh season. There's nobody's calling him out for a fight. The only person they want to get him to fight is Wilder. They want Wilder to fight all the guys that's undefeated, never lost, and these other guys get to fight journeyman. Bro, y'all ain't fooling me. Terrence Crawford, everybody he stopped, most of the guys he's stopped, the first time they've been stopped was by him. So we can talk about resumes and everything. Terrence Crawford is stopping guys who've never been stopped in their life. I don't care what their name is. If your favorite fighter ain't doing it, nobody doing it. So who I'm gonna compare Terrence Crawford to? Who else stopped Earl Spence? Who else stopped Sean Porter? Who else stopped Jose Benavidez? Okay. And since we want to compare resumes, who the only person that knocked down Munguia last year when Canelo fought him? Canelo couldn't even knock out Munguia. He better put his chest in. Got his chest out like he doing something. Put your chest in. You ain't doing nothing. You couldn't even knock out Munguia last year. And you got fans running around here. Yeah. But y'all was quiet when Munguia got knocked out. So don't even try to do all that. All that woofing. Matter of fact, Munguia's made everybody on Canelo resume look trash, basically. If you felt like that was a good fight on Canelo resume, any of these fighters he's fought, Munguia getting knocked out hurt all their credibility. Yeah, that's how that goes. That's how that goes. That's since we rating people like that, since that's what we doing now. Munguia had the most embarrassing loss you can have. He got knocked out by 160. Then comes back and get popped PEDs. Come on, man. Stop it. Stop it. If anybody want to talk about resumes right now, that's the last. Canelo should have been talking about power. I done knocked out bigger guys. He's a horrible trash talker. He could have found out more. He picked off some off YouTube that guys are saying. Sound like a YouTuber. Yeah, that's insane. Resumes? Then people talking about he doesn't have a resume? Come on, man. Stop it. Stop it. These people, they just say anything. But that's what I don't like, though. People can't just take a whooping like a man, bro. Like, obviously. Even though I didn't want to see Wilder lose the Tyson Fury, I'm not running around here, and Tyson Fury did the worst of the worst. And I'm not running around here like salty like these other people are about Spence and Crawford. Like, bruh, these fans, y'all ain't gonna let that go. Like, that's pathetic, man. To be honest with you, it's pathetic. It's sad, and it really makes me feel like dudes ain't never watched boxing before. Like before Spence was really got his career going, I don't think people really follow boxing like day to day like that, because the hurt I be seeing behind this from grown men is just I don't understand it. I really don't. I don't understand it. I don't care what nobody say. I ain't gonna never understand that. I done seen Mike Tyson lose and everything before, but these dudes, they man, like this is crazy. This is insane. You could tell they just only watched boxing when Floyd was around. They ain't never seen nobody lose before. I guess they seen Floyd never lose, then they jumped to Spence, and they like, oh well, my first time seeing a boxer lose, man, that I support. And I'm being real. I'm not joking around. I'm dead serious right now. Because a lot of the boxing talk ain't boxing talk. It's really just like sad, to be honest with you. We supposed to be building the fight up right now. We talking about who resume trash. Like, man, come on, man. They had all these press conferences just so they can go back to tearing down Terrence Crawford. Let's have 2 press conferences and talk about what Terrence Crawford gonna do as far as against Canelo, then say his resume trash. So if he end up knocking out Canelo, what that mean about Canelo then? Is he trash? I don't understand that. I'm confused on that one. Are we building the fight up or what? Because I don't want to trash the fight. Because I don't want to trash the fight, man. You know what I'm saying? I want the fight to go well, but man, it ain't looking too good as far as some real information coming out of this right now. Because the way people look at resumes in boxing, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's kind of disappointing. It's a lot of dudes that be like putting in work. People don't understand. If you look at some resumes, some guys ain't got nothing but knockout punches on there. And you ain't supposed to be doing that. Some of these fighters who getting paid millions talking about they can't even have tough fights back to back, making millions of dollars. I can't have 2 or 3 tough fights in a row. But they talking about they want to be like Terrence Crawford though. Oh, I'm better than Crawford. I can do what he doing. Well, do it. Do it. If you can, do it. All that talking, man, I'm not used to people talking this much in boxing, to be honest with you. I know they got social media or whatever, which is a good thing. People can promote themselves, but bro, Abdullah Mason don't be doing no talking, bro. Even Munguia, he don't be doing no talking. Like certain guys ain't got to do no talking to get a buzz. What's going on, Root Exposure? What's up? Exactly. Prevented Crawford from big fights like Thurman and Danny Garcia, and didn't fight Earl until he left Top Stink. Exactly. Exactly. Every one of them dudes sat up here and said how he ain't got no good resume. As soon as he was about to fight Jeff Horn, Thurman was like, Jeff Horn ain't good. But Keith Thurman went out there and did the same thing Jeff Horn did against Pacquiao. But Jeff Horn went out there and won though. So this man Keith Thurman went out there and lost to Pacquiao. Jeff Horn won. People say it was a robbery. Okay, well Pacquiao should have got him up out of there. Terrence Crawford got him up out of there. What y'all talking about? Talking about if Terrence Crawford would have fought Pacquiao, he would have stopped him. Pacquiao would have been retired after he fought Terrence Crawford. Shout out to J Man. What's going on, man? Shout out to Rule Exposure J Man in the chat. If he would have fought Terrence Crawford, he would have been retired. He wouldn't be fighting no Barrios. He would have been in the Hall of Fame 4 years ago. That's what man. Yeah, Pacquiao. He fought Jeff Horn, struggling against Jeff Horn. Then Terrence Crawford go up from 140, come straight to 47. Boom, get him up out of there. People like, oh, well, Jeff Horn ain't good anyway. Well, y'all could have got Jeff Horn up out of there. If I'm a boxer and I just seen Manny Pacquiao go out there and lose to Jeff Horn, why would I not try to set up a fight like that? To be honest with you, if I was Earl Spence, I would have fought Jeff Horn right after he beat Pacquiao. Like while everybody playing, I would have fought Jeff Horn right after he fought Pacquiao, got that belt, and I would have been unified already. All that waiting around across the street stuff, it would have already been shut down from day one. And people talking about they wasn't doing business back then because Top Rank, bro. First of all, PBC doing business with all kind of Australian fighters right now, aka Tim Tszyu, the same Tim Tszyu that went around there and fought Jeff Horn right after Terrence Crawford did. So what we talking about? All these dudes fighting the same fighters? After Terrence Crawford, make sure these dudes ain't the same, then everybody want to jump in the ring with them. Yeah, that been going on. He said this very well could be like the Spence fight. They saying Canelo too big and strong. He going to beat up Bud's body. Resume weak, same thing. Spence fans and boxing world said, thank you. That's exactly what I was saying, J-Man, earlier. We could have shut down all this elite Terrence Crawford talk if these people would have just listened to what I said. Instead of doing David Avenesian, they could have went ahead and just made Jermell Charlo fight Crawford. And Jermell Charlo could have still went ahead and fought Canelo that September, whatever he was going to do. They could have shut all that down. All that he ain't got no elite resume. Y'all didn't let him get an elite resume. The resume he got is what he got. People thought that Josh Taylor was on his level. Come on, man. Josh Taylor, he would have got put in the hospital. Matter of fact, I think he got put in the hospital his last fight. He says Canelo style might be worse than Spence. Less work rate and less footwork. Yeah, it's going to be worse. I think Canelo think his chin is going to hold up. And Terrence Crawford going to test that chin. He ain't like what he said. There's a couple of things Canelo been doing he ain't been liking. Canelo been talking that trash, too. He just said a couple of weeks ago in Turkey Al-Sheikh office that they wasn't going to talk no trash. And this man done got in front of all these cameras and he talking trash right now. So Terrence Crawford definitely he upset. He mad. That's why he said he gonna walk upside his head. He gonna run upside his head or whatever. Then he said, then I'll talk about that probably the next time. But I'm gonna talk about the other thing he said. I noticed. And that was a real threat. Yeah, he had to threaten the league to get the Sean Porter fight. Then they let that fight go to first bid or whatever. They weren't serious about that man's career. They held up Terrence Crawford's career. And to be honest with you, Terrence Crawford's career has been held up. It was sabotage on purpose. Because Terrence Crawford was supposed to fight Conor McGregor in like 2019 or something like that. Dana White, see, people said the other day, yeah, Dana White want Canelo to win or whatever. Man, Dana White been trying to work with Terrence Crawford since 2019, 2018. He kept saying it. Y'all can go back and look. It's all over the Google. Just Google Terrence Crawford and Dana White. He been trying to sign a fight with this man since 2018 and 19. And you know what they were saying around that time? Terrence Crawford is trash. He can't even beat nobody good at 147. So Dana White definitely knows boxing. Because the whole boxing world was saying Terrence Crawford ain't good. And Dana White was saying Terrence Crawford the best. And this was what, 7 years ago? You said Bob wasn't gonna let Crawford beat up Pac-Man. I think Pacquiao, the people over Pacquiao, like allegedly, like Sean Givens and all those guys who picked Pacquiao fights. I don't think they wanted to put him in there with Crawford. Just like right now, they picked Barrios to put in the ring. They didn't pick Jerron Ennis. They didn't pick Brian Norman. I think if Rolly would have had the belt sooner, they probably would have picked Rolly. If Rolly wouldn't have had the belt already, they probably would have picked Rolly. Yeah, the trash talk. I'm glad they're doing the trash talk, Joseph Bailey. I'm like, yeah, keep up the trash talk. Keep doing what y'all doing. Because that trash talk did not work last time. Especially, bro, I don't know who that guy was that was screaming at Terrence Crawford at the press conference before he fought Spence. But Terrence Crawford was like, I'm going to get real active. Man, whoever that dude was, bro, he did not help the situation, bro. I be seeing that video like, man, that dude's. I wonder what that dude was doing while Spence was fighting, because he was doing all that ringside. I know you support people, but come on now. Yeah, Joseph Bailey right about that. That trash talk gonna make it even better. He said, Rudy Spoke said Canelo better not use that high guard. Shakur said nobody using that high guard can stop him. And Crawford said he gotta reach in his bag to spar him now. Yeah. You're right about that. That high guard for Canelo, it's not gonna work, man. Canelo leaves his chin out there. Like when Bivol wasn't really with Terrence Crawford. If you're gonna lean on the ropes and just stay at the high guard and keep your chin exposed a little bit, Terrence Crawford just gonna stand there and keep punching. Bivol was being nice. He was punching Canelo, hitting him on the chin, then he'll stop, then try to go back to punch him in the body. Nah, Terrence Crawford gonna sit up there and try to hit you in your chin over and over like he did against Hank Lundy. This might be a Hank Lundy type of situation. But he gonna test that chin on Canelo though. He wanna knock him out. He definitely want to be the first one to knock him out. I thought Jermell Charlo was gonna take that chance, but I think Terrence Crawford definitely gonna be the first one. He definitely gonna be the first one. And all this trash talking, it's just helping, because people, they trying to make everything nice with Terrence Crawford right now and say some good things. They was being nice for a couple of days with the press conference, but we're going right back to the resume stuff. To say his resume is not good, they're going to end up getting Canelo knocked out. I'm going to be honest with you. Because they going harder right now before the Spence fight. You know what I'm saying? They going harder right now than they was before the Spence fight. It is what it is. They're going to get this man knocked out. They're going to get this man knocked out, bro. I'm telling you. I don't think they need to be trolling Terrence Crawford like this. And then, people don't really want to take no shots at Canelo because I guess, a lot of fan bases don't like that. But like I said, Canelo, bro, he struggled with Munguia last year. I hate to try to compare fights, but to be saying his resume is anything, especially lately, he ain't been fighting nobody. He ain't been fighting nobody. If people think that Berlanga is elite, I mean, how many elite fighters is at 168? Berlanga ain't got no belt. So we got a whole bunch of dudes who's elite that ain't got belts. But then we got guys who did have belts who's not elite. What's the point of having a belt in boxing? I'm gonna be honest with y'all. What's the point of having a belt in boxing? Then I'm gonna tell you right now. If I sit up here and say, well, Canelo fought Jermell Charlo, what's elite about him? You know what the first thing everybody gonna say? Oh, he was undisputed. So is Terrence Crawford, bro. You're proving my point. How many times was he undisputed? And then how many people did he stop? Look at who he's stopping. He ain't struggling and having a whole bunch of rematches. Charlo had to have a couple of rematches with guys. Terrence Crawford ain't doing that. That's what Canelo was in the ring with. A guy who had to rematch Tony Harrison. Terrence Crawford ain't doing none of that. When he get in the fight, he makes sure. The one time he have a close fight, everybody like, yeah, he's trash, man. Then Munguia, he go the distance with Canelo. And Munguia leaves himself open more than anybody. He run into punches. We learned that when he got knocked out recently. Ain't nobody thinking, man, you know what I'm saying? Canelo really got it like that as far as the power right now. Yeah, this is the wrong time for Canelo to be talking like that. I think from what he's seen in that Majamar fight, he kind of got a lot of things fooled. You know, he believe in himself, obviously. You know, Canelo, he's still a elite fighter, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, to not think that Terrence Crawford resume ain't that good, I'm trying to figure out who Canelo resume is actually amazing like that. I can think of a couple of guys probably. Caleb Plant, he was getting there, you know what I'm saying? Recently. I think Caleb Plant was putting together some names. Yeah, that's about it though. To be honest with you, I ain't even finna think like that. That's about it for me. Yeah, man, exactly. And then J Man Bud went out there against what's the guy's name? Felix Diaz. Bro, I think Felix Diaz was like a gold medalist or something like that. I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but when Terrence Crawford was fighting Felix Diaz, he was beating this dude up so bad that he had to pump the brakes. Even when he pumped the brakes and was holding back, he was still beating the brakes off this dude. He really destroyed that man's career, and he was a gold medalist. He was like another Gamboa or something. He was supposed to be. And Terrence Crawford went out there and he was never the same. All that man confidence. I'm talking about the man was almost crying in the ring. We talking about a gold medalist. And people out here talking about Steve fights. Really look at these dudes' eyes. This dude had grown men in the ring crying. Who done had hundreds of fights in the amateurs, gold medalists, grown men on TV from other countries, third world countries on TV crying. Yeah, I don't think they understand what's going on out here. Yeah, the resume stuff, it sound good, but anybody can get beat up, bro. That's like 10 dudes running up on us in the park. And I fight the five best and you fight the five worst. And I'm over here like, yeah, bro. You know, I beat the better people than you. You gonna be like, bro, they didn't run up on me though. I got the five I got and you got the five you got. That got nothing to do with which one of us got better hands. Because everybody said it about Spence. They say, what about Spence's resume? Oh, Spence got a better resume than Crawford. All right, but what happened when they fought each other? They fought each other, and we saw the result. That resume stuff don't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing. Especially when it comes to Terrence Crawford and Canelo, it don't mean nothing. They made the same mistake when he fought Bivol and everybody else. And then they overlooked how similar Canelo's resume was to Triple G. That's why that fight was so close. They thought Canelo was gonna get knocked down in that fight. Who I got in the fight coming up, I got Terrence Crawford. Yeah, I got Terrence Crawford. I definitely got Terrence Crawford. Shout out to Trey, man. I definitely got Terrence Crawford in the fight. I'm not overlooking Canelo or nothing. That's why I'm saying people want to sit up here and discredit Canelo before the fight start because they don't want to give out full credit to what Terrence Crawford might do. Because even if Terrence Crawford go out there and beat this man, they're gonna be like, well, in history, they're gonna be like, well, Terrence Crawford ain't had that good of a resume. Canelo was done by then, and he was at the end of his career. Nah, we ain't trying to hear that. Nah, we ain't trying to hear that. Definitely not trying to hear that. Yeah, so we're not trying to hear that from the fans. They trying to put certain narratives out there, trying to discredit this guy. They don't want him to get full credit for what he gonna do. It got to be something wrong with these guys leading up to this fight. When we was leading up to the Pacquiao Mayweather fight, nobody was focused on resumes and what was going on. And did Pacquiao fight Maidana? Nope. Pacquiao ain't fight Maidana. He ain't fight Canelo. He ain't fight none of those guys. By UD or not, I got UD. I think Canelo chin to hold up, but shoot, hey, if Canelo keep talking like he doing, it might be knockout, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm talking about as far as a bet that I had to put some money down on right now. If I had to put $10,000 down, I'm putting on UD. But oh, you said UD? I'm putting decision. I don't know about UD. It might be split decision. I don't know. But because you know how they do. They gave Canelo. Didn't they give Canelo some? Didn't the judge give something to Canelo? A close score on the Mayweather card. So I don't know how that's gonna go. I just know Terrence Crawford gonna win by probably decision or knockout. Probably decision though. But UD, I wouldn't bet on UD because if he can get a close score on Mayweather in the Mayweather fight, yeah, Terrence Crawford gotta go for a knockout regardless. If he don't go for a knockout, they're gonna try to make it close. You said if Canelo win, they would discredit the win too. It's on both sides. What? Let me. All right. Let me ask you a question, Trey. What Canelo win has actually been discredited that he's had? I don't know any Canelo win that's actually been discredited. I would have to disagree on that one. A lot of people do say that though, but I don't agree with that. Because if that was true, this fight wouldn't be as big as the other fights that's on his resume. I don't know any fights right now. The fight hasn't even happened, and I don't know any fights that Canelo's had recently that's bigger than this fight. But I say one thing though. I seen recently that Floyd Mayweather don't get credit for a Manny Pacquiao win still. I seen thousands of people in boxing comment sections and everything else recently saying that Floyd Mayweather he don't get credit for the Pacquiao win. Do everybody know this right now? Do y'all know that Floyd does not get credit for the Pacquiao win? I want everybody to know that. He does not get full credit for that win. And the excuses I heard was so bad. I promise y'all, I forgot about them. I forgot what they actually said. It was so bad. Go to no, go to the video they had about Floyd and Pacquiao recently, where Pacquiao said Floyd was a runner or something. Or they asked him about his top 5 opponents he was against. Go and look at them comment sections. Bruh, Floyd ain't even getting credit for that win. Floyd don't get credit for beating Canelo. Floyd don't get credit for bringing Canelo into the sport of boxing and putting him in Las Vegas in America at the young age he was and knowing how good of a talent he was to actually be in the ring. So can Terrence Crawford go out there and outdo Floyd Mayweather's whole career in one fight? No, it's not gonna happen. So yeah, Terrence Crawford definitely not gonna get credit for this win. That's a fact on everything. Canelo, Terrence Crawford not gonna get credit for this win. Everybody ain't gonna say that. I'm gonna say it. I might be the only one to say it, and I'm standing on it. He ain't finna get credit for this win. Terrence Crawford ain't getting credit now. At this point, Terrence Crawford got to go out there and beat Deontay Wilder or something. He ain't getting credit for this. He ain't getting credit for what he's done. Everybody sat up here and said all this stuff recently about he's undisputed and everything else. They let him be under in a way recently on the pound for pound rankings. Yeah, I see all that going on. Terrence Crawford, number 3, number 2. He just got dropped by his second Mexican fighter in a row he's fought with a left hook. Talk about not being able to get past the left hook. But Terrence Crawford, he number 3 on the resume though. I mean on the rankings. But his resume is being his resume better than Inoue resume. I hope everybody know that. That's why I said Stephen Fulton needs to be on pound for pound because Inoue beating him put Stephen Fulton in a position to be. I don't know what it is, bro. But a lot of credit for that Stephen Fulton win. A lot of credit. And Stephen Fulton is not getting credit. One thing I've noticed, a lot of guys not getting credit. Now, look at this now. Stephen Fulton Inoue beats Stephen Fulton. He gets put on number 2, number 1 pound for pound. Terrence Crawford goes out there and beats Earl Spence. They talking about he ain't beat nobody. He too small for 54. Oh, he too small for Jamel Charlo. Shoot, both Charlos. That man said I'll fight both Charlos. You said I've been on a lot of different channels and people don't give Canelo or Terrence Crawford credit. Yeah, that they started doing that recently. But if you go back, I'll probably say from 2023 back, probably recently. But when I started this channel, a lot of people definitely was saying things about Canelo's resume and everything else, but they wasn't going to his resume like I was. If you follow me and watch my channel, I get a lot of dislikes for telling the truth about Canelo Alvarez. Trust me. I say stuff about this dude that now mainstream media be talking about now. When I sat up here and said Triple G ain't a big name on Canelo, bro, people don't follow me because I said that. But if you look at it, Triple G ain't got no names on his resume. Everybody that Canelo fought, Triple G ain't fight. Triple G ain't fight Kovalev. So everybody wasn't saying that recently. They've been saying for years how Canelo's untouchable. He the face of boxing, and he don't need to do this and that. He can do whatever he wants. Canelo's got more power than Mike Tyson in boxing. This is not a game that's going on right now. I cannot compare Canelo Alvarez, who has more power in boxing than Mike Tyson, to a Terrence Crawford. He's getting way more credit than Terrence Crawford is. People just start talking about Canelo's resume, and Canelo is 34, about to be 35 in a couple of weeks. And people just start talking about his resume. When I start talking about his resume, when nobody coming over here saying, you right, bro. They like, bro, you don't know nothing about boxing. Matter of fact, all that hyping up Terrence Crawford during the press conference over the weekend. Now it's Tuesday, June 24th, and everybody talking about his resume trash. Everybody, not one person, not the black side, not this side. Everybody saying that. You got fans from all kind of countries. It's a lot of fans who like Spence that think that Terrence Crawford resume is trash. It's people that like Canelo that think Terrence Crawford resume is trash. You got boxing experts mostly think his resume is trash. They didn't think he deserved a Canelo fight. We can't let these. We trying to rewrite history now. They never believed in Terrence Crawford. Where's all these people that believed in Terrence Crawford all these years? They never believed in Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford ain't fooled. He know what time it is. He know that a couple of months ago when Canelo was fighting, they was calling him Kendrick Lamar. They called him man Kendrick Lamar. And people like, yeah, man, UFC probably did that Dana White. Bruh, Canelo got so many troll fans. It could have been anybody. Could have been anybody at this point. We know what time. We see it on YouTube. So yeah, I don't like that. I don't really, to be honest with you, I don't respect that people wait until the last minute to tell the truth about Canelo's resume. Man, 34 years old. We couldn't say this 4 years ago when Benavidez was calling him out. They've been using the resume argument to not fight Benavidez. Oh, Benavidez ain't fought nobody. Oh, he ain't fought nobody. He ain't fought nobody. Look at his resume compared to Canelo. He ain't fought nobody. Man, Benavidez doing stuff at 27, 25, 26, 27 that Canelo never done. The stuff that Canelo doing in his 30s, Benavidez doing in his 20s. So people making the resume stuff a big deal is making other boxers look bad. You're not making Errol Spence look good by saying Terence Crawford resume trash. You're not making Canelo look good by saying that David Benavidez resume trash. Just like these fans a couple of weeks ago, you're not making resume trash. Bro, you resume. And you a victim. You a victim. You talking about you got PTSD from this loss. And my resume ain't good? Man, y'all better stop this. I'm talking about other boxers can't show up one night and do what other some of these guys have done. People talking about, yeah, they ain't got no good resume. I'm trying to figure out who got a good resume in boxing. We still stuck on big names. I'm telling you, it's gonna go bad. I already gave the Joseph Parker example earlier. Go back and look at his last 3 fights. He said Canelo never dominated any top fighter in their prime. I'll take it a step further on that, J-Man. I'll take it a step further on that one. And I know ain't nobody said this one, but Canelo always fights the second best. He don't never fight the best. How about that? Canelo always fight the second best. He don't never fight the best. He could have fought Andre Ward. That's going to keep it a buck. He could have fought Benavidez. He fought Caleb Plant. Is what it is. You said Earl Spence said himself. Terence Crawford said himself Earl is not a Hall of Famer. Yeah, to him, he's not a Hall of Famer because you got to look at how he actually fought. What version of Earl Spence he actually fought. Look what he did to Earl Spence. If that up here and say the person easiest fights is a Hall of Famer. That just like with Michael Jordan. When people talk about Michael Jordan ain't gonna say the guy he think that's good is who everybody that think that's good. Everybody didn't think Reggie Miller was that deal when back in the day we was watching basketball. Now everybody say Reggie Miller good because everybody have stories about how Reggie Miller be giving them the business. But if anybody know basketball, you can ask anybody down here. Dudes was hyping John Starks more than they was hyping Reggie Miller. So that's always happened in sports. But most of these people probably didn't think Reggie Miller was a Hall of Famer. The best athletes is not big name guys all the time. Terence Crawford is a whole generation away from Earl Spence. Terence Crawford fought Gamboa before Gamboa went 12 rounds with Tank Davis. So he's not going to say that, Eastside Cruz a Hall of Famer because he fought the Gamboa who went 12 with Tank on a 20. Well, before Tank went 12 rounds with Gamboa, he fought the real version of Gamboa. He said Isaiah Thomas always say Mike that ain't that good. Man, Mike, that's what people don't even remember. Michael Jordan wasn't even the best player on his team in college. My dad told me growing up, the only thing that separated Michael Jordan and everybody else was he was taking 20, 30 shots. He said, period. He said, bro was taking 20, 30 shots. Nobody back in the day was taking 20, 30 shots on no teams. They was doing fundamental back in the day, old school, pass first basketball. He said, dude was taking 20, 30 shots and bringing the ball up. When nobody bringing up the ball, the court in the 80s, taking 20, 30 shots. But that's a whole nother story, though. You know what I'm saying? If you don't really know NBA basketball, then, you know, if you just know, you know what I'm saying? That's a whole different story. That's why, you know, a lot of us don't watch basketball no more. You know, that's how that go. That's why a lot of us, that's why people say, oh, that's why y'all still wearing Jordans out here instead of LeBrons. You know what I'm saying? And I grew up on LeBron, so, but I'm just saying, I seen Jordan play live, and bro was one of the, even in the 90s, bro was the only one taking 20, 30 shots. Yeah, so if fans say Earl Spence resume trash, they can't be mad, man. Yeah, you're right. Competitors don't think like fans. Nah, J-Man talking about something different. Yeah, J-Man talking about, he's saying the same thing I'm saying, but yeah, man, a lot of people out here, bro, they letting this resume talk go crazy. Because you got to realize, people just said recently last year that Jaron Ennis is better than Earl Spence just because Spence lost to Terrence Crawford. That had to be the most disgusting thing I ever heard in boxing. And I'm talking about fans of Earl Spence was saying this. I'm like, bro, y'all tripping. So how is Earl Spence gonna be considered elite when everybody just sat up here and told the whole world? And I made a video saying this. Y'all can look it up. Type in, I think I might have Spence name in there. Just type in "Can't Face the Boxing" and Spence. You'll see all the videos popping up I'm talking about. But everybody was just saying how Jaron Ennis is better than Spence. And no disrespect to Jaron Ennis, he ain't did nothing in boxing as far as compared to Earl Spence. Earl Spence, he put every big fight on his card. His card biggest fights of the last 10 years. Some of the biggest fights. Top 5 at least. You can ask Mikey Garcia about that. Mikey Garcia was getting paid when he was fighting Earl Spence. And he got paid off that fight just because of how many numbers they did. But they were saying how Jaron Ennis better than Spence, though. So how is people gonna sit up there and say, man, Spence is elite? Why Crawford ain't saying them? Bro, Terrence Crawford is not getting credit for the Spence fight, man. He's not getting credit for the Spence fight. He got trolled after his last fight. He's not getting credit. I ain't saying that. If he is, but I'm not saying it though. That's all I'm saying. I could be wrong. I'm just not saying it. That's why I didn't really get into the press conference talk, because this the real conversations that's gonna come out of all this stuff that's going on. We gonna see this the real news. He said, why did Bud run from Boots? Because you can't just become. That's what he'll do if he's Canelo. He gonna run back to 160 and never defend his undisputed. Uh, kind of confused by that. So Terrence Crawford is getting punished for trying to be 3-time undisputed. Chucky, I'm not gonna lie, that sounds pretty crazy, bro. Because I'm gonna explain to you why. You're saying that Terrence Crawford chasing 3-time undisputed is a bad thing. So you'd rather see Terrence Crawford fight Boots than Canelo? A shout out to Chucky, man, out here. Chucky, that's crazy. And I'm a huge Boots fan, but come on now. You'd rather see Terrence Crawford fight Boots than Canelo. I mean, even if it was on Canelo, come on, man. That's crazy. And it definitely is long gone. Like, but come on now. We can't keep doing that, bro. I'm gonna be real with y'all. And I wasn't gonna bring Boots into this conversation. because I like Boots, but at the same time, I gotta keep it real. The way people talking about Ricky Burns and Victor Postol, Karen Chugazon and Stanionis, they're the 2025 version of Ricky Burns and Victor Postol. Sorry to tell everybody. Karen Chugazon and Stanionis and Ricky Burns, and everybody treating them. They treating Stanionis and Karen Chugazon like they the 2025 version of Victor Postol and Ricky Burns. So everything everybody else talking, it's just jump shots in the gym. It ain't gonna mean nothing when it's game time. That stuff means nothing. You said I wanted him to defend that 147 undisputed. Bro, Terrence Crawford was at 147 like 5 or 6 years, bro. This man had already been to 135 and 140. He went to 147 and cleaned it out so bad to the point where it's not even rebuilt yet. They still trying to rebuild 147. So you basically want Terrence Crawford to make sure that 147 is dead for the next 20 years. That's what I'm hearing. You want Terrence Crawford to go out there and beat Jaron Ennis, so 147 ain't got to be nothing for the next 10 years. If he would have went out there and beat Boots, 147 wouldn't mean nothing right now. So I don't even know who Brian Norman was. If it wasn't for that, he would have still had the knockout, but it wouldn't been the Boots talk that everybody been using, because ain't nobody else been calling out Boots. But I'm gonna tell you this right now, though, Chucky. Jaron Ennis better go out there and do everything Terrence Crawford was supposed to do at 154 and 160. The same thing that you asking Terrence Crawford to do. I hope that Jaron Ennis go to 54 and do the same thing you wanted Terrence Crawford to do at 54 and 160. I hope he fight Carlos Adames, all these guys. That's where everybody got things messed up at. Terrence Crawford do everything that Terrence Crawford 54 and 160. And I'm gonna be the first one on this mic letting y'all know that these dudes out here capping. And I'm a huge Boost fan, but I'm letting you know that right now, straight up. Straight up. If we gonna sit up here and carry this Boost flag like that, he better go out here and do everything Terrence Crawford is gonna do at 54. I'm talking about his next fight. His next fight, he need to be fighting Baccarat. If Boost Ennis can go out there and beat Terrence Crawford, he needs to be fighting Baccarat his first fight at 154. Boost Ennis needs to be fighting the champion 154 his first fight. If he's on Terrence Crawford's level, he better fight somebody who's on Terrence Crawford's level next fight. If he doesn't, it's gonna look ugly. And I'm letting him the Yo Ennis fight. I'm cool with that. I'm letting it be known. The next fight, he better be fighting somebody like Terrence Crawford. Or I'm not gonna want to hear anything anybody talking about. I'm hearing tune-ups. Dudes won't even let Deontay Wilder get a tune-up. Anybody who take a tune-ups, who barking like that, we gonna say something about it. Y'all don't let everybody else bark. Brian Norman, the youngest champion in boxing, they talking about he can't say nothing. I'm the youngest champion in boxing. Ain't nobody else doing what I'm doing, but I can't say nothing. So the dudes that everybody else who doing the same thing that everybody else doing, they can say something, but I can't say nothing. Where they do that at? I'm 2-time undisputed, the first in history as a male, but I got a terrible resume. You know how bad boxing looks to say that Terrence Crawford cleaned out 2 divisions, really 3 divisions, and he don't have a resume? So we didn't have any champions from 135 to 147 that was good enough to where Terrence Crawford would have an elite resume. Guys in boxing that don't have belts, that's elite, but guys who's not elite, they have belts. So why did all these guys who Terrence Crawford fought have belts, but they weren't elite? So are fans saying that Terrence Crawford fought a whole bunch of champions and knocked them out, but they're not elite, even though they have belts? Is that where boxing belts? So we got millions in the world, and the guys who have belts is the ones that's not elite, and it ain't no ducking going on. Man, do they know what they talking about right now? Bro, I don't know if everybody know it or not, but bro, I've been real quiet about the Ennis thing, bro, because at this point right now, y'all still trying to promote Jerron Ennis, and he's already promoted, bro. He has to perform. He has to actually go out there and show out at 154. This is a hard division to show out at. He actually has a lot of to 154 before Jerron. It actually made things worse for Jerron Ennis because now Terrence Crawford brought all that attention to 154 where people are actually paying attention to the same fighters that was in the division when Jermell Charlo was there. The same fighters that's at 154 now was the same fighters that was there when Jermell Charlo went to 168 and fought Canelo. And I sat there the whole time and I said, Charlo got all these names down here. Why are you chasing Canelo? Oh, it's Canelo. You know, I understand that, but bruh, you can make your own path. You can be you can be the next Canelo. If Charlo would have went out there and cleaned out 54, he would have been the next Canelo. Wouldn't nobody be able to say nothing to him. He would have beat Tim Tszyu, Bakaram, all these guys. They would have said he's the next Canelo. Period. Could have did it. Instead of sitting out 2 or 3 years and then fighting once a year. That's not a recipe for success. And Terrence Crawford's out here fighting on every promotional team. He's the only fighter who's fought on every platform. I think Deontay Wilder gonna be next. Fought on every platform. He's fought on every platform. Every one you can name. The cheap platforms and the expensive platforms. He's fought on every platform. These other boxers ain't even crossed the street like that. So what are we talking about when we talking about resumes? How your boxer got a resume? He not even crossing the street, and he only did it 1 or 2 times. Canelo just fought in another country, another continent for the first time. He only been fighting in America and Mexico. How was that elite when you can't even leave the country to make something happen? What? Come on, man. We talking about resumes? How you got a resume when everybody got to come to you? You ain't chasing nobody down. See, these dudes can't even. Terrence Crawford doing some Rocky Balboa stuff, and these dudes out here just at the crib like, yeah, you got to come to me and fight. Ain't nobody impressed by that. When guys was going overseas fighting Joe Calzaghe, that was impressive. You know, they lost, but they was going overseas to fight them. These dudes ain't even doing that, man. See, in the 90s and 2000s, guys was going overseas to fight guys like Joe Calzaghe. And in 2025, they ain't doing that. They going overseas for William Skull. Hey, speaking of William Skull, how about William Skull? If Terrence Crawford go 12 rounds with William Skull, would that be impressive on his resume? Is that elite? If he go 12 rounds with William Skull, let me think, Munguia, Berlanga, Charlo, would that be elite? Is that elite? Is that impressive? You think if Terrence Crawford did that, I'll be running around talking about he gonna knock somebody out? This dude been knocking everybody out, and I'm still, you know what I'm saying, using my instincts. These dudes knock out and I don't know when. And people running around talking about he'll knock Terrence Crawford out. They went from saying he gonna knock him out, put him in the hospital. They said that he bigger than him and size and everything else. And Canelo, and to be honest with you, Canelo full of crap saying that, because you said how many times Crawford fought overseas? I don't know. It's a good question. Why you ask that question? Because you know the next thing I'm gonna ask is, because this ain't really what the question about, but you know the next thing I'm gonna say is, You know how many times Anthony Joshua went overseas? Anthony Joshua went overseas how many times, y'all think? Who know how many times Anthony Joshua went overseas? Fought overseas? Anybody know how many times Anthony Joshua went overseas and fought? And he a gold medalist, so he got experience on traveling. That man went overseas. Once he went overseas, he got stopped. And people, everybody and their mama talking about he got an elite resume. And I ain't gonna say no other boxer's name because I don't want to embarrass nobody today or make it seem like I'm being negative about these guys. But let's stop it. Thank you, J Man. One time. And the one time he did, he got stopped. You said Chucky said Chucky. So you gonna sit around and count. So Chucky, you gonna sit around here and count him going. So actually, Chucky is 4 times. You're actually wrong. But Chucky, it's actually 4 times Chucky. But I'm gonna sit around here and say this though. So you gonna count this man going to Saudi Arabia, him going to Saudi Arabia and fighting Andrew Ruiz, then him fighting Otto Wallin, then him fighting Ngannou. You gonna count those 3? Really? Are we serious? Him going to Saudi and going 12 rounds with Ruiz. Are we really gonna talk about that fight? Nobody talks about that fight. It's a reason why nobody talks about that fight. Matter of fact, one of these websites that be over here slaving all over Anthony Joshua, they just had to admit recently, because one of the guys who used to fight Joshua, he came on here and said what I said on my channel. I think I said 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I said that Andrew Ruiz was the best win that Joshua got. Then the guy who beat Anthony Joshua in the amateurs, I think he lost to him or beat him or something like that. Something that happened. He sat up here and said that the best win that Anthony Joshua got in his career is against Andrew Ruiz in Saudi when he went 12 rounds. You got guys going out here going 12 rounds and people talking about they the best of this generation. Man, stop it. And Andrew Ruiz is an American heavyweight. And everybody talking about we don't have, America doesn't have elite heavyweights. Everybody should not be able to talk about boxing. I'm being real with y'all. There's too many people talking about boxing right now. Do y'all know I could have talked about boxing a long time ago? I just don't get up here and say what I'm saying. This man went to America one time and got stopped. And then everybody talking Wilder. Man, I wish y'all would focus on Joshua. I don't like people hyping up fighters, bro. I don't like people hyping up fighters. If you really believe in that fighter, you ain't gonna just talk about this guy every once in a while or when he got a fight coming up. Man, I don't like all this front running that's going on in boxing, bro. I don't like it. I don't like the front run. There's too much front running going on. It's too much front country. What country has elite weights right now? I'll wait. What country has elite heavyweights right now? And be careful with your answer, because don't get nobody destroyed this afternoon. What country actually has elite heavyweights with elite resumes? As soon as they bring up Tyson Fury resume, guess who they got to say? Yeah. Yeah, it's like that. He said, bro, I truly believe Boots is far better than Bud. When people ask Shakur who would win, he say it's 50-50. I'm going to say this about that. About the whole Boots and Terrence Crawford thing. I'm going to just say this. Boots got an opportunity, like I said earlier. Boots has an opportunity. I don't know why people think Boots is 37 years old like Terrence Crawford. I think Boots is 27 and Terrence Crawford is 37. Terrence Crawford is literally 10 years older than Boots. So by the time Boots gets to 37 years old, you making it seem like Boots gonna be lining it up with Benavidez or something. And I'm being 100% real with you. You're making it seem like when Boots get to 37 years old, that he gonna line it up with Benavidez, and they gonna fight for who the best in boxing. Just keep it in the buck. Because, like I said before, Boots has a lot of elite names at 54 that he can fight. 160 that he can fight eventually after that. People got to understand, everybody ain't doing what Terrence Crawford doing. I know it sounds good that Usyk is a two-time undisputed cruiserweight and heavyweight, but I'm sorry to surprise everybody, but everybody moves up from cruiserweight to heavyweight. It always happens. Always. What Terrence Crawford doing right now, it don't happen. Guys ain't doing this. This don't happen. You ain't finna see nobody from 35 jumping up to 68. They ain't doing this. We can talk about whatever everybody talking about is cool, but guys don't jump from 135 to 168. So however people are focused on resumes, it ain't Terrence Crawford's fault that boxing has trash champions. That's why I have a channel that I have where I try to hold people responsible for mandatories so they don't try to skip out on tough fights instead of focusing on big names. Because most of the time, these guys lose the mandatories or they lose a small off to a guy nobody knew. That's why it's good to always have these guys fighting, even though it's not a big name. When people focus on big names, you let these guys get away from having tough fights. That's why a lot of these guys is losing right now. They're not used to fighting guys on the fly. A lot of these guys not active. Terrence Crawford ain't fought in a year. Caleb Plant went a year, fighting once a year and everything else, and look how sloppy he looked this last fight and the fight before that. And I told everybody fight before that, hey man, he almost lost. Yeah, but yeah, man, a lot of stuff to go. You said Benavidez is way too big for Boots. If Terrence Crawford would have started his career off at 147, he would have thought about fighting Benavidez. That's a fact. Demetrius Andre started off at 154 and he fought Benavidez. That's why I say my favorite boxers, those guys, they fight anybody. These other guys people be talking about, it just sound good. You don't see Demetrius Andre running around the internet talking about he gonna fight this guy and that guy. Canelo turned him down. He jumped in the ring with Benavidez. He got stopped, but he did what everybody said he wouldn't do. He jumped in the ring and he let his hands go. And they used to call him a runner. And he stood toe-to-toe with Benavidez. And Benavidez is much larger than him. He's a 154. And Boots Ennis is around the same size as him. Because if Demetrius Andre would have been cutting to 47, when he was at 154, he would have been looking the same way that Boots is looking. I'm not being hypocritical. I'm saying facts. I'm being real, bro. I'm a fan of all these guys, especially American fighters. I keep up with everybody. I'm not an expert. I don't know everybody. I didn't grow up on no Hearns and Duran and everybody, but as far as the people I've seen in my years growing up watching boxing, yeah, I know what's going on. But like I said before, nobody's jumping up from 135 to 168. Charlo jumped up from 54 to 68, and people was like, oh my God, he's doing too much. I mean, people been doing that. That's what Kell Brook did when he fought Triple G. I've been saying it for 2 years. Kell Brook did it against Triple G. I keep saying it over and over and over and over and over. Keep making videos about it. He went from 47 to 60. Why did he do it? Why did he do it? Why nobody? Let me tell y'all something. If Triple G is such a big fighter, why nobody questioning when Kell Brook went up to two weight classes to fight Triple G? Nobody questioned Kell. They didn't care about Kell Brook getting destroyed by Triple G. And he just said recently that fight ruined his career really. The worst payday he ever got. Wasn't even worth it. And shout out to J Man and Trey too, man. And shout out to Chucky. Shout out to my dog Chucky too. Chucky, you know what you're talking about, dog. I definitely respect you now. You know what you're talking about. But I'm saying, as a Boost fan, you gotta understand, Boost was the only person connected to Terrence Crawford, so he didn't have to promote himself that much because he got forced on Terrence Crawford. Once they did the mandatory and stripped the belts and everything else, they kind of forced him on Terrence Crawford because Boost was really calling out Earl Spence, like he said recently. And I'm glad he said it. I want to come out here and lie on Boost. Boost was calling out Earl Spence at PBC. He was like, that's the fight I'm trying to make. They closer in age. It just made sense. People was thinking, oh, Boost trying to fight the older guy. Nah, Boost was trying to make sure that he fight the younger guy. And if he's good enough for the younger guy, he's good enough for the older guy. That's it. Boost knows boxing. He know that, okay, Terrence Crawford is the hardest fight. So let me focus on Spence. And then if I get a belt or something, then I'm going to have to try to fight Terrence Crawford. But if it don't happen, I'm not going to do it. But once he got the belt, he had to fight Terrence Crawford. So it was a must at that point. So that if y'all look at it, I don't really pick sides on certain things. Like when Boost and the Norman thing happened, I told people nobody's ducking that because Boost will fight anybody. I'm telling you. If Boost and Brian Norman is sparring each other already, that means they want to fight each other. That's all I can say about that. The only thing I don't like is it's a lot of hype around what people saying Boots gonna do, and the only person that know what Boots gonna do is his father. So if his father don't co-sign it, I don't really believe in what anybody else is saying. I'm saying not specific people. I'm just saying as far as what level Boots can go to. I've been watching Boots for a long time, but I don't know. Boots might go out here and start knocking guys out like Crawford did. I can see Boots getting stronger at 54. You know what I'm saying? He can get stronger at 54. So people say he might not be weight drained all the way right now, but he might be drained to the point where, all right, I ain't got the power to knock people out like I used to. So that can be a factor, but Boost been always trying to fight Virgil Ortiz a long time ago. I know Virgil Ortiz called him out in February and everything else, but Boost was calling out Spence and Virgil Ortiz first. So anybody else who started watching Boost after that, it is what it is. But he been calling out Spence and Virgil Ortiz for 4 or 5 years now. He said a Bud and J-Man said it was originally Boots calling for Spence's name when he had the crown. Exactly. And that's a fact too. When I forgot what fight it was because Spence was at the fight. And Spence really took it like, hey, you better watch out who you calling out for real. You know what I'm saying? But Spence was okay with the call out. That was Canelo. See, he goes out there getting called out by a young fighter. He got to embarrass him. And, Andre not a young fighter. But Earl Spence got called out by Boots. He ain't make it go viral. He ain't say horrible fighter. He's trash. Who has he fought? He fought nobody. He ain't do none of that. That's why he ain't go viral. But, yeah, he did call him out. He called him big fish. All that. But, yeah, they forget a lot of that stuff, though. But what's going on right now is it's too many fans putting too many names on Boots. You're giving too many people ammo to say, hey, man, why you ain't fighting this guy? Why you ain't fighting that guy? Why you ain't fighting that guy? I don't know boxing business, but I know that he was trying to get certain fights, and then Norman got that belt, and everything changed. Nobody knew Norman was going to get that belt last year. They didn't know how fast Norman was moving. I told everybody Top Rank is not playing. They trying to. If you go back and look at Top Rank a year and a half ago, they was moving everybody. Brian Norman, Abdullah Mason, they knew what time it was. They knew what they had. And now guys are getting belts. And the people that was the favorites, now they starting to get moved out of the way. See, what I was telling people the last year was, I like some of these young fighters, but even a guy like Keyshawn is the same age as Devin Haney. You still got Abdullah Mesa, who's younger. Still got Brian Norman, who's younger. and all that other stuff. You still got Boots who's around the same age as Keyshawn Davis. So yeah, it's kind of wild out here right now. What's going on in boxing? Yeah, a lot of these guys in the same kind of position, but Boots he just got with Matchroom last year. But people saying that Brian Norman was ducking, that's what put all the pressure on Boots. Like, hey, you got to make this because nobody like that. Not even Virgil Ortiz was kind of saying stuff about it, but he wasn't pressing like Brian Norman was. Brian Norman made sure everybody knew he wanted to fight. Then people talking about he don't want to fight. How he don't want to fight? He in negotiations. I don't think people understand that. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I kind of blame Pacquiao for all this stuff. All this negotiation stuff came around when Pacquiao and that Floyd situation was going on. When they was asking Pacquiao why he don't want to take the test and all the other stuff, and why negotiations this where all this stuff be coming from, bro. Pacquiao did a lot of stuff that he really don't want to take credit for. But this negotiation stuff people be talking about in boxing, it really was born around that. And it wasn't Floyd because Floyd was jumping in the ring. You don't hear no other fighter Floyd was connected to when we talking about open negotiations. It ain't happened until Pacquiao. And that's a fact. We can look that up ASAP. You ain't hear Mike Tyson say, yeah, negotiations with Evander Holyfield. We got to figure. Evander Holyfield got his ear bit off and he ain't sitting around here and say, yeah, negotiations got to go right, though. It's a different generation, bro. Dudes ain't no dog like that. A rematch could have been Boost, but he didn't want that. He only wanted Earl again. No, he said he was going to give Earl a chance to fight him again because he was going to give Earl a chance to fight again because Earl gave him a chance to fight. You know, nobody else was going to fight Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford wouldn't have been in the position he in right now without that Earl Spence fight. That's why I don't let nobody say nothing about Earl Spence because a lot of these dudes ain't doing what Earl Spence did. Even Canelo. To be honest with you, I was kind of going that kid what Canelo wouldn't do. Earl Spence was already selling stuff. He was already making more money. His name was getting bigger and bigger. He didn't have to fight Terrence Crawford. He went ahead and fought him, and he lost out on a lot more money than he could have had already. Then you got people out here talking about he done. Nah, your favorite fighter done. If Earl Spence done, all these dudes done then. Because ain't nobody even started what Earl Spence did. So how you gonna be done when you ain't even got started yet? Everybody talking about Spence done. If he done, we're gonna figure out how done he is. Y'all better hope Canelo don't go out there and get beat up like Spence. If he goes out there and get beat up like Spence, I'm gonna get on here and say he done. Longest live streams, all that I'm done stuff. Y'all gonna realize when Spence after Terrence Crawford fight Canelo, y'all gonna realize how good Spence actually is. They gonna be like, man, Spence the only one that walked down Terrence Crawford, and I'm the first person to say that, and I should be the last. He the only person that walked down Terrence Crawford. The rest of these guys got in the ring with Terrence Crawford and they got on the bike. Then we could look. But people trying to compare Terrence Crawford to these fighters, bro, these fighters are not going to be able to make it, man. They're not going to be able to make it. Ryan Garcia tried that recently. He can't live up to the hype. Talking about he could beat Terrence Crawford. Teofimo said that recently. And his last performance, it was a regular fight. It was a regular fight. That's all it was. It was a regular boxing match. He said, why does everybody act like you can count Floyd? He lost to both. Yeah, exactly, Adam. You're right about that, bro. About Adam. I might have up on a live, but that's a very good question by Adam. It seems like it's a simple question, but it don't get asked, man. It don't get asked. This dude, they counting losses now. And Earl Spence get a loss, and everybody like, yeah, he looked bad. He tried to go for a knockout though. When Earl Spence was fighting, it looked like he tried to knock Terrence Crawford out. It didn't look like he was in there trying to last 12 rounds. If Earl Spence would have went in there trying to last 12 rounds, like everybody else be doing, he would have last 12 rounds against Terrence Crawford. The reason why everybody's running is all right. Hold on, let me hold on real quick. Connection messing up. Let me hold on real quick. You back good? But the reason why everybody's running is because Earl Spence walked down a guy and they said he finished. So the last guy who walked somebody down, they said he finished. So why would I go walk somebody else down again? It doesn't make sense. If every fan in boxing is saying, why did you walk this guy down the last fight? Why would I go walk somebody down again? It's not gonna work. And Kovalev got 5 losses. Also, Adam, I was saying this earlier too, Adam, to add on what you were saying about that resume from Canelo. Canelo always fought the second best guy. He could have fought Andre Ward. He fought Kovalev. And I give Canelo credit for doing what Triple G didn't do. He moved up and actually fought a light heavyweight. So I give him credit. Or, super middleweight, light heavyweight. I give him credit for that. But I'm going to say this right here. He could have fought Andre Ward. Didn't do it. Could have fought Benavidez, fought Plant. People say, oh, well, Plant had a belt. Yeah, look when Plant had a belt. Yeah. After all this time, when Plant finally gets a belt, yeah. The man went up, then came back down. What are we talking about? So he got the belt from Plant. But he hasn't been moving around that much, though. He's always fighting the second best guy. Jermell Charlo. For some reason, everybody thinks Jermell Charlo better than Terrence Crawford. The man, Jermell Charlo, goes out there and last 12 rounds with Canelo. And everybody like, man, Terrence Crawford to get stopped by him. Damn, y'all think Jermell Charlo that good? Wow. I didn't know boxing. I didn't know. Terrence Crawford, 2-time undisputed. I didn't know Jermell Charlo was better than a 2-time undisputed fighter. I didn't know that. That's something new. That's something new. No wonder he been out for 2 years. I didn't know that. You said Ward the nut low blows. Yeah, so Kovalev has people, and there's people out here that believe that. He said Ward's the nutcracker. If Kovalev got 5 losses because of low blows, he needs to retire. Kovalev got 5 losses because he ain't that good. If he got hit in the nuts 5 times and lost, something going on. Sound like excuses. You said you got 1,000 on Zepeda versus Shakur. I don't know. Zepeda looked bad last time, but I don't know. Shakur, he usually has some tough matchups against Mexican fighters, so we'll see. I will admit that, but I think Shakur can beat the brakes off Zepeda. I don't know about stopping him. I think he can drop him probably 1 or 2 times, but Zepeda definitely gonna have the fight of his life though. Yeah, that man got knocked out by Canelo, bro. Like, I'm not even. Hey, J-Man, Kovalev got knocked out by Canelo. Like, look at all the people that didn't get knocked out by Canelo. That's how much of a bum Sergey Kovalev is. And I hate to say that, but I'm being real. Look at everybody else. Because the dude was crying recently to my Andre Ward was a runner, and he was hitting him in the nuts, low blow. So, yeah, I'm definitely calling him that today. Jamel, Charlo, everybody else jumped in the ring with this man. Nobody got stopped like Kovalev did. That referee saved Kovalev. What? That man started hugging the ropes. I'll show y'all how Canelo did Kovalev real quick. Had him looking bad, man. Kovalev talking about Andre Ward, a runner. Show y'all this. Hopefully it comes up. Look at this. This man Sergey Kovalev was complaining. So he had his last fight of his career recently. This man was complaining that Andre Ward hits people below the waist, below the belt, and he's a runner. Now, he got done like this by a former 147 fighter. A guy who used to fight at 147. Sergey Kovalev went out there and got put to sleep by a guy who used to fight at 147. A guy who Floyd beat. Now, this is a guy who Floyd beat now. A guy who Floyd Mayweather beat put Sergey Kovalev on the ropes like this. Then Charlo went, 12 rounds with Canelo? And he didn't get done like this. And this guy running around to my floor, Andre Ward's a nutcracker. He hits people below the waist. Okay, what does Canelo do? And another thing too, y'all, this man got an excuse after every loss. I'm not being funny. This man has an excuse after every loss. He said Andre Ward hit him below the waist. He said he lost too much weight against Canelo and he was chasing the payday. He basically admitted that he was chasing the payday. This dude fought Canelo for like 4 or 5 weeks, like a month and a half after he fought Anthony Yard because he was chasing the bag. Chasing the payday so bad. Career took so many losses that the best money he had on the table was fighting Canelo a couple of weeks after he just fought. I know Canelo was like, this guy's stupid. This guy's finna fight me after he just fought a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I'm finna knock this guy out. So yeah, they say guys like this is good on the resume. I mean, but look at what you gotta look at things though. Look at who Canelo ain't knocked out. How did Kovalev get knocked out? But Canelo couldn't knock out Floyd Mayweather. This don't help Kovalev. And what make this worse, Munguia didn't even get knocked out. This man couldn't even knock out Munguia, but he knocked out Kovalev. Yeah, so Kovalev, he's not that good, man. His claim to fame is getting stopped by Andre Ward and fighting Bernard Hopkins, and that's about it. Yeah, he had a chance. After he got stopped by Canelo, nobody takes him serious. You know, they said because he unallowed the guy in the ring. That was his claim to fame, but he ain't doing nothing. But like I was saying, that's one of the big names on Canelo's resume that everybody looks at. They look at Kovalev getting stopped, and they forget that Andre Ward wasn't really stopping guys like that. So for Kovalev to get stopped by Andre Ward, it's like, yeah, that guy's not that good. He was good when Andre Ward fought him, but overall, he's not who he think he is, especially on Canelo's resume. I would say Charlo's a bigger name on Canelo's resume than Kovalev. Yeah, exactly. So watch, he did a better job on Munguia, and he's supposed to be a 160. He's going back to 160, and he was actually supposed to fight Canelo. Yeah, it's good. Sometimes they mess up, Adam. You know how that goes. But yeah, he's supposed to fight Canelo, but they end up making that William Skull mandatory for Canelo. But Canelo would have ended up fighting that guy Sawachi and end up knocking him out. Because Sawachi wanted to fight Canelo, but he going back to 160. So yeah, it's bad for Munguia right now. You got knocked out by 160. That was a guy Canelo fought last year. Then Berlanga, we've already seen him kind of struggle a couple of times. He's been looking good lately, but hasn't fought anybody. I mean, talk about bad resumes. This guy's called elite, and I like Berlanga, but he's called elite, and he hasn't done anything. He's never been a champion, and they call him elite though. Well, Canelo's fighting him, he's elite and everything, and they make sure that when Berlanga's fighting Canelo, they make sure that everybody. You see how they made sure that everybody knows that he's a good fighter? The man ain't fought nobody for real. But we out here talking about Canelo, Terrence Crawford resume before he fought. Nobody was talking about Berlanga resume before he fought Canelo. I was one of the only ones that brought up his resume. I'm like, how is he fighting Canelo? He ain't got no resume. He's not a champion. Oh, well, this is Mexico versus Puerto Rico. Oh, okay. They ain't got nothing to do with boxing. That's what's up. He said Canelo only two solid opponents are Daniel Jacobs and Triple G was cheated, and Jacobs went head up with Canelo 12 rounds, arguably a draw. Yeah, I mean, the names can vary because it depends on what somebody's looking at. As far as the names, some people might look at certain things that Canelo's weak at. So, like you were saying, as far as the Danny Jacobs thing, I agree with you on that one. And with the Triple G, but people can stick a couple of names in there, depending on what they're looking at. As far as like with Charlo, I didn't like his performance, but I still factor in that he didn't get stopped like Kovalev. You know what I'm saying? I'm smart enough to think that, I'm not gonna just jump out the window and say he's super trash because that performance. Because Kovalev is the real reason why Canelo the last 7-8 years has been looking like a monster at 168 and 175. If we go back and look, if Kovalev would have went the distance or even turned down this fight, and if Caleb Plant would have lasted just 1 or 2 more rounds, we're talking about Canelo not even getting knockouts lately. So that's what I've been looking at as far as from a fan standpoint. Like, he really ain't impressing me that way. He almost stopped John Ryder, but he got hurt. And the thing about it is you got hurt trying to knock John Ryder out. And that's going to be a topic for another conversation. I might have to make that, it might be a little too strong for YouTube. They don't want me saying something like that. They've been on my back lately. So I got to be careful what I'm saying. But I would just say this. Guys been hurting their wrists lately as far as trying to get knockouts. And Canelo got the same situation. He had against John Ryder. He dropped John Ryder. If you go back and look, he started shaking his wrist after he punched John Ryder. I mean, maybe his hand's not holding up as far as the power. Ever since that fight, he's been kind of careful as far as how he's placing his punches. And he's not really punching through guys like he used to. Not saying the power's not there. I'm saying he's not even trying to punch through guys. I don't know if he's worried about having an injury and then trying to survive through the fight. Because it was certain points in the Berlanga fight or even against Munguia where he pulled out the jab, and he usually don't pull out the jab that early. That's why I see his stamina kind of a little more heavy in the last couple of fights, because he got to jab and move a lot more than he used to. He used to relying on that power. See, people say Deontay Wilder relies on power. Terrence Crawford gonna show people a lot of people that Canelo relies on power a lot. He's gotten outboxed a lot. He got outboxed by Billy Joe Saunders. And if Billy Joe Saunders would have been able to have a better stamina, he would have been good. But he was getting outboxed by a lot of guys. We got to remember that. It's been a lot of times in fights. If Charlo would have fought he fought the last 2 rounds against Canelo, the whole fight, he would have had a chance. But trying to survive, going 12 rounds. You could tell when a boxer going 12 rounds in the back of his mind, or some guy that's just going out there to take somebody's head off. And as time go on, people going to realize, man, you know what? The only guy who really ran at somebody who's elite fighter is probably Earl Spence. He the only fighter I seen that just when the fight started, he just ran straight at Terrence Crawford. Everybody else, they just running around the ring. You know, all that running rule people talking about right now. You didn't need a running rule with Terrence Crawford and Spence fought. Does that fight get celebrated? Nope. It's always something got to go wrong. Oh man, something was wrong, or those guys wasn't that good. It always got to be something that goes wrong. So guys don't really want to fight like that. That's the honest truth. You don't get respect for running at people and getting your face knocked off. They don't respect you for doing that now in boxing. It used to be that way, but everything's about a meme now. Everything I go back to what they're gonna say about me on the internet or tweets and everything else. That's why Jerry Anderson's kind of fell back a little bit, because it's like when you're a heavyweight and you get knocked out like that, they ain't got nothing good to say about you, especially in America. It sounds good when you talking about you can stop Wilder and everything, but when you lose to somebody else who people would consider not on Wilder's level, then it's different. Yeah, exactly. They don't never complain about no elite fighters running or nothing like that. Never. Not Antonio Tarver versus Roy Jones. None of those fights. Exactly. It wasn't no running in the Trump Simpson and Tucker fight, and that was like the main event. Man, I seen multiple outlets promoting that like it was the main event. I ain't even watched the main event. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I watched the co-main event though. I had something to do, but I watched the co-main event. It was a good fight. They were letting their hands go, not going anywhere. Tucker was moving and still was in his face. I seen somebody else doing something like that recently. I forgot what fight it was, but Tucker was moving around. He was in his face, still responding to everything. They was countering each other. Yeah, man, they be making up stuff as far as that running, man. The running stuff I've been seeing lately is on all sides. A lot of UK fighters be running, but they fight more like Shakur and Haney and these guys. That's what they watch. They don't watch these power punchers because they don't fight like them. They can't really knock guys out like that. So a lot of these fighters, they're looking more so at guys like Haney and Shakur. They're not trying to fight like Tank and these other guys because they don't got the power like that. They got power like Loma and guys like that. They don't got no power where they trying to go out there and just, yeah, that was a good fight. Yeah, Truck always in a good fight, to be honest with you. Tucker is too. I've been watching him on the undercards. Truck always in a good fight though. He always letting his hands go, but he gotta get back to boxing though. I feel like he loading up just a little bit too much. I know he fighting elite guys, elite prospects, elite talent, but he got to get back to boxing. I would definitely like to see him do that a lot more in his next fight. He needs to pull back and fight somebody a little lower in competition. Make some adjustments. Yeah, exactly. Everybody talking about Karen. I was saying that recently, J-Man. Karen Chugazan and Stanionis is not better than no Victor Postol and no Ricky Burns. The fact that people are running around acting like Karen and Stanionis is better than Ricky Burns and Victor Postol is the exact reason why Terrence Crawford said their names. You got people running around here talking about dudes that went 12 rounds with Karen. Terrence Crawford ducking them. Now, Terrence Crawford go 12 rounds with Madrimov, he a bum. Boots go 12 rounds with Karen twice. And nobody want no smoke. Man, what's going on out here? What's going on? I mean, the ticket's going to sell regardless. So what's really going on? For real. People talking about Ricky Burns. Who is that? Who is Karen? Who is Stanionis? I seen Stanionis struggling last year with Maestre. Michael Fox is better than Stanionis. Michael Fox is borderline elite fighter, but people gonna think, oh, I don't know who he is. He ain't no big name. That's an elite fighter but people don't know who he is, so they'll be like, oh, he a bum. That's one of your favorite fighters' favorite fighter. Michael Fox is your favorite fighter's favorite fighter. But on the streets, people will say he a bum. But it's the same Michael Fox that Tim Tszyu is using right now for the Fundora fight. And he knows the closest talent I can get right now in the gym to Fundora is a Michael Fox. But if Tim Tszyu come out and say, yeah, Michael Fox one of the best 54s right now, oh, man, he a bum. So, yeah, Ricky Burns and Victor Postol are elite fighters. Yes, absolutely. Anybody who want to have a conversation, yeah, they're elite fighters. Stanionis and Karen Chugazan are not elite fighters. Never been champ. What? Hold on. Stanionis was a champion, but how? How was Stanionis a champion now? Let's get to it. How was Stanionis a champion? Because Karen ain't never been a champion. And that was a tougher fight, right? So how was Stanionis the champion? Who he beat? We got Lippian Nets, Stanionis, and Chugazan. Those guys better than Ricky Burns? Maybe I don't know boxing. Oh, that's all I'm trying to figure out right now. Cause I went on Twitter this morning. Everybody talking about on Twitter. I'm like, hold on, what's the big deal about what Terrence Crawford said? Oh man, he ain't said Spence. Y'all ain't said Spence. Bruh, the whole reason why everybody said Terrence Crawford is too small for 54 is because they didn't believe in his win over Spence. If you would have believed that Terrence Crawford, his win against Spence was a real win, you would have not said, oh, he's too small for 54. Everything they saying Boots can do, they saying Terrence Crawford can't do it. Oh, Boots can go to 54. Terrence Crawford can't. So do y'all realize they've been walking around telling everybody in boxing, America has as well, been walking around telling people that the two-time undisputed fighter we have can't go up to 154 after stopping Earl Spence, but Jerron Ennis can. So Terrence Crawford, he a fake champion, but Jerron Ennis, yeah, he a real champion. He beat Karen, and I believe in him. Why? What? Bro, I'm telling you, dude, y'all, if he from y'all hometown, I rock with that. I ain't got no problem with that. Man, y'all better be from Philly talking like that. If you from Virginia or Baltimore talking like that, I'm about to look at y'all crazy. I'm looking at y'all crazy now. Hell no. They out here talking about Terrence Crawford, Ricky Burns, and Victor Postol is worse than Karen and Stanionis. Let me move on, man. He said Shakur ducked Haney to and made a money excuse. That was BS. Yeah, as far as with Shakur though, Top Rank never. You talking about when Shakur was with Top Rank? Top Rank never showed that they was willing to even make some things with Haney happen when he had to take a pay cut over there with Kambosos. Kambosos made home run money over there when Haney went over there. Then you heard what Bit Bob Arum said recently? Nobody's gonna pay that much money. Or something like that, or nobody wants to put on his fights or whatever. When he had the mandatory last year for the Sandor Martin fight. So I don't know how much Top Rank was willing to actually make that fight. I mean, it probably was as far as that, but I mean, when the time comes, that's gonna happen. Like I told people recently, I said probably a couple of weeks before Keyshawn was gonna fight De Los Santos. And shout out to my dog Rudy Spoger. I told Rudy Spoger, he said, what's up with Keyshawn and Tank? I said, I'm not really worried about Keyshawn and Tank because I said Shakur will fight Keyshawn before Tank will. And look around right now. It look like Keyshawn and Shakur, they ain't friendly right now. So I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it look like that's realistic. Yeah. I feel you on that, J-Man. J-Man speaking facts. Oh, yeah, I know. Haney make a fight with everybody. Haney just send everybody a deal. Everybody. And to be honest with you, guys need to be sending him deals because I know people say you the A side, you make the offers. Well, I know we got Turkey Al-Sheikh involved though. As far as with Turkey Al-Sheikh, you ain't got to pick sides on that. Most of the guys are already involved with him, or you have a promoter that's attached to him in some way. But as far as Haney fight everybody. Like the Rolly and Tiafimo. To be honest with you, Haney is like, he's in that position where as soon as a guy like Terrence Crawford step away, the talk gonna be like around him and Benavidez more. Guys like that. But yeah, Haney definitely sending contracts though. Yeah, I'm not down that. I ain't saying that now. Haney definitely sending contracts. I already know that he want all the smoke. Definitely the boogeyman. I got Haney over Shakur, but as far as Shakur, if he just get a blank check and he want to jump in the ring with, like all these other guys is getting, like with Canelo situation, like I'm not dumb to the fact where Shakur knows that's his hardest fight. Does he believe in himself to the point to take a small payday like that, or just 25% against Haney? I don't think so. And that's just me being realistic. I mean, he didn't do it, so. But he would have been cutting himself short on the money, though. That's the only thing I can co-sign about that. If I want to be realistic, he'd be cutting himself short on the money. He definitely would. Because we talking about if Shakur put a fight together right now, people talking about him making less money than Kambosos made against Haney. Kambosos made a bag against Haney. And I think a lot of guys, I don't know how much Lomachenko made. I would have to see, but he probably got less than what Kambosos got. Kambosos was getting paid when he fought Devin Haney. So if I'm Shakur Stevenson, the only explanation I would actually be able to give, I would say taking less against Kambosos. I mean against Haney than Kambosos did. That would hurt my brand overall and my value. Because they're gonna say, well, you took it this time, you'll take it next time. You know, it happens like that. People might not think so, but I've seen a lot of guys get paid where I'm like, nah, that dude ain't selling, bro. Ain't nobody even checking for him. How they find the money for him? But yeah, J-Man definitely speaking facts on that. That's definitely facts. But I think right now, J-Man, Shakur actually has, I'm actually not putting pressure on Shakur to do anything right now because I know eventually he's going to have to fight Haney. I think that's going to be, sound weird, but it's going to be towards the end though. He already fought everybody. He know what time it is. But guys like Andy Cruz and everybody, by the time Shakur actually gets to one of those fights, he's going to have one of the best resumes. So guys need to take advantage right now while he's in that weight class. Because he can actually just move up and fight Haney right now, but it ain't gonna be no Andy Cruz fight, Tank fight gonna be gone. That division will be done, bro. That'll be cooked. He leaves 135 right now, he'll be cooked. To be honest with you, if he would have fought Devin Haney already, that division would have been cooked. Especially after what Keyshawn just did. I would have definitely watched the fight, though. It would have been classic. But when you look at things, it's like, kind of made sense because ain't nobody really jumping to the table to fight right now. And I don't know what they got going on with the heavyweights, bro. That's going to be another conversation we'll have tomorrow. But the heavyweights, what they're doing with the heavyweight division is horrible. Y'all seen the fight they're talking about with Big Baby and Jared Anderson? But I will give Shakur credit, though. It's a lot of guys around who he won't smoke. Like Jared Anderson and Ray Ford, even his cousins. Well, I don't want to say his cousin, Zay Moses. I know everybody be saying that's a cousin, but Zay Moses, he be won't smoke. So yes, a lot of people around him. So it's hard for me to believe that he just don't want smoke. That's just me talking. If somebody call him a duck, man, I understand what y'all saying though. Keep it 1,000. But only one guy he really is iffy about fighting is Haney, and I can't really hold it against him because he ain't the only person. There's a lot of people pump faking right now. Haney put out a nice little list, but I thought if Jerron Ennis runs the table at 54 and a fight with Ennis and I'm not Ennis but Norman and Haney is still realistic, it's gonna be crazy. And then think about Shakur. If a fight like Shakur is able to happen, those guys can use all the names from the divisions they in, and they can merge and have super fights. So it's really kind of turning out bigger than what we kind of seeing right now. But yeah, we want to see a lot of these guys hot divisions, but it's only a couple of guys actually doing it though when you think about it. It's only a couple of guys doing it. It seems like they're waiting on something. I don't know if they're waiting on this heavyweight thing they got going on to pass over so they can focus on the smaller weights a little bit more, but I don't think they really got started yet. We just starting to get to the Zepeda thing. I feel like in my eyes, Turkey Al-Sheikh want to move a lot faster than what everybody else is moving. But yeah, Shakur got a lot of different business stuff that's going on. He just signed with Eddie Hearn, him and Boots. We really don't know what direction they going. We're still kind of asking questions about that. We know that Boots gonna fight at 54, but everybody that signed with Eddie Hearn, I don't know what they're gonna do as far as if it's gonna be just all big fights, all unifications, or just champions. And Boots and Shakur in the same situation. I think with them being the biggest names in their divisions or close to it, that's putting more pressure on them to actually take other fights because a lot of people still don't know who they are as far as on a global scale as a superstar. But I don't know if they're going to make a complete just fights right now with him. That's why I'm saying with Jerron Ennis, I don't know who he's going to fight next, but I can see Shakur Stevenson fighting elite fighters back to back to back. That's why him, if Roach beats Tank Davis, Shakur going to fight Roach. Guaranteed. They already talked about it. That's what people got to realize. So that's why I'm not really worried about Shakur. If Lamont Roach beats Tank Davis, we know who Lamont Roach is fighting next. And Shakur fights what? Hopefully a month before that. If the Tank fight's still going on, they should have a press conference popping up soon now. Definitely should have a press conference popping up either end of this week or next week. They got the Jake Paul thing going on this weekend, so maybe they try to use that to promote this Tank fight. I would say that would be a good plan, but if they don't, that's not going to be good. And hopefully the fight's still going to be in Amazon when Tank and Roach fight. We got to see, but yeah, Shakur, he got all the pressure. He ain't got no pressure on him right now, to be honest with you. And then what Keyshawn just did recently shows that Shakur is very serious. Because I felt like Shakur is a lot bigger than what Keyshawn was as far as the 35. And I saw him being the one that can possibly move up first. And for him not to move up to 40 and say, I'm going to stay at 135 till I get business done, definitely got to give him some credit for that. But the only person that I can see beating him is Devin Haney, though, for sure. For sure. It's always been like that. Even when Tank was around, I was a bigger fan of Tank, but I never felt like Tank was gonna beat up Shakur Stevenson. I never felt like that. Just off what we seen with Roach. You know what I'm saying? Shakur just very good counter puncher. Speed, good defense. And Roach defense is nowhere near Shakur Stevenson, so it's hard for anybody to touch him. Yeah, that Wilder return gonna be so good, bro. It's a lot of boxing on this weekend. I don't know if everybody knows it. We have Liam Paro I'm gonna be live in the morning. We got Liam Paro fighting in the morning at 5 a.m. Should be 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Eastern. It's not a huge fight, but should be an action-packed fight though. Liam Paro let his hands go, so it should be a good fight. He don't usually be in no boring fights. If you watch Liam Paro fight, almost none of his fights is boring. He definitely gonna go for the knockout. So I'm gonna check that out tomorrow. But they got a lot of boxing on. They got that Jean Pascal is fighting this weekend. I don't know if everybody knew who Pascal is. That's the guy who stopped Marcus Brown not too long ago. One of the best cruiserweights of this era. The ultimate underdog. This dude got some of the craziest upsets ever. He just had a knockout recently, 42 years old. Yeah, he fight this weekend. Jean Pascal, we got Wilder. Like I said, we got Paro in the morning. You got Zerto this weekend. He's fighting on the Jake Paul co-main event. We got Floyd Schofield, the Tevin Farmer. I think I'm gonna talk about that card probably either tomorrow, probably tomorrow. But yeah, Jean Pascal fights Saturday too. Then they got Christian and Billy fighting Friday. I don't know if y'all heard about John Aravio. Check out John Aravio. I don't know if everybody's seen him. It's a dude named John Aravio. Orobio. He punching. He's kind of like Abdullah Mason a little bit, mixed with Keyshawn. Go check him out. He's the dude down there punching, man. His name is John Aravio. He's fighting on this card. And Matmadal fighting this weekend too. He's fighting on the undercard of Christian and Billy Selecki. But yeah, this dude John Aravio, he punching. This dude is punching. That's why I say that weight class down there at 135, it's loaded down there. I think he is a 135, right? Yeah, he about a 135, man, 140. They got him at 140 now. Man, this dude is a problem. He look like Sabril Matias in the face. If y'all seen that guy, check him out. John Aravio. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. This dude probably hitting harder than Kid Schofield. I don't know for sure yet. I gotta see a couple of more names. But I'm gonna be honest with y'all. He punching like that. He's punching just like that. I think he might have one punch knockout power. I'm gonna post his full fight up here later on. See if they let me post it up here, so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Dude punching. Yeah, I got Farmer by decision, bro. I got Farmer. I think it's too early for Kid Austin, man. That last fight he had against that Mexican, he was struggling, and that was his first main event fight. And also, he couldn't really counter well. He stopped jabbing. His stamina was an issue. His dad was giving out great instructions. He didn't take much of it. The instructions he had, the ones he did take, he kind of survived a little bit towards the end. But yeah, I'm not really. I think Schofield moving too fast though. From what I've seen, he not listening to his dad yet. So right now he going into the ring just fighting off of instinct. And I don't know what you're thinking during the fight to the point where you can't see what he's saying. A lot of people think that what Bill Haney or other fighters' dads like Jose Benavidez and Brian Norman Sr., they think these guys just be in the corner just talking. Like, bro, these dudes' sons be knowing what they talking about. So with Kid Austin, I'm kind of worried about that, man. Until he start listening to his dad instructions, I can't trust him against an elite fighter. Now, if he goes out there and surprise me against Farmer, I'm gonna be very excited, but don't got a lot of confidence going into the fight though. It's gonna be a good learning lesson for him. But we gotta remember though, if Kid Schofield goes out here and performs better than Zepeda, it's gonna be a big deal. You said if Zepeda beats Shakur and Tank beat Roach, it can be Tank versus Zepeda and watch. Hey, that could happen. I think Zepeda gotta let his hands go though. I don't like when Zepeda get hit in the face and he stop punching. When he does all that like he did against Tevin, that was a bad sign. The last fight was good, but I don't know. He don't seem too confident like he was 2 fights ago. Because he stopped the guy who Eastside Cruz struggled with, didn't he? Cabrera. I think he stopped him. Then he stopped Maxie Hughes, who people felt like Kambosos beat. I mean, who beat Kambosos. So yeah, Zepeda should have a lot of confidence, but he didn't look good that Tevin Farmer fight. But maybe him and Tevin Farmer got better from that fight though. That could happen because Muritai, after he fought Tevin Farmer, he been looking like a beast. Y'all seen how Muritai been looking since he fought Terrence Crawford? Matter of fact, he fought on the same card as Floyd Schofield. He fought as a co-main event, and he looked like a beast, man. Nah, I think he was the on the undercard because I think Fundora was on the co-main event, I want to say. But yeah, he looked like a beast his last fight. I was like, yeah, that's what happened when you fight a guy like Tevin Farmer. So yeah, it might be too early. And Tevin Farmer, one of my favorite fighters. I already know what time it is. He coming to fight. I want to see what Avius Griffin do. That dude Correll. If he don't come to fight, he might get upset. I want to see what Avius Griffin do though. Avius Griffin. I think he's still at 135. And I want to see what Holly Holmes doing. She fighting this weekend. Holly Holmes, who knocked out Ronda Rousey in the MMA. She was a boxer before she went to MMA, so she coming back to boxing. She been away from boxing for 10 years, man. Somebody I know, they said they seen Holly Holm in a gym, right? It was a gym that her and John Jones used to work out at. Bro, they said they walked in there and she was like leaning on the wall, just bleeding. And they was like, man, who is that? It was Holly Holmes. This was like right after she beat Ronda Rousey. This girl beat up Ronda Rousey and she was in the gym, sparring, bleeding all over the place, putting that work in. Like she one of the best ever. You walk away from boxing 10 years and then you fight somebody who only got what, 1 loss? The girl might be undefeated. Hold on. She fights somebody who undefeated after being away from boxing for 10 years. Yeah, she one of the best combat fighters in history, especially in America. Yeah, he was giving Muritai that work, boy. I think Tevin Farmer kind of let it go because towards like the 7th, 8th round, he was fighting inside, but he was better on the outside, though. When he was letting Muritai kind of step to him in the inside, he was better on the outside. Yeah, it was kind of like the Zepeda fight a little bit. But I feel like Zepeda getting dropped against Farmer, that's what made it look worse. So that's why they had the rematch. But I felt like in all those fights, those guys were getting beat up. And then these judges, it's hard to score Tevin Farmer because of the way he fights. They don't usually see the things he's doing. Like he's missing a lot of punches. Dude, dangerous though. And his style is similar to like a Lamont Roach. That's why I was telling people, man, Lamont Roach, Tevin Farmer, those styles always been difficult, especially for a guy like Tank. That's why that fight should have happened a long time ago. But everybody knew that was a bad style matchup. That's about one of the closest fighters you can find to Lamont Roach style. Yeah, she a GOAT for real. I want to see what she look like in the ring this weekend, but yeah, she definitely a beast, bro. Like she fights for real. Yeah, she ended Ronda Rousey. That was a nasty knockout, bro. That had to be the best knockout from 2010 to 2020. That had to be the best knockout. She put her to sleep. Before she hit the ground, her legs and everything went stiff. I was like, whoa. That was like one of the first knockouts to really go viral. Where it was like memes and everything. Like, yeah, that was one of the ones. Yeah, Tank didn't want that smoke. Tevin Farmer didn't have a lot of knockouts, and he was a smaller weight class at 130. After Tank moved up to 35, people was like, yeah, but he's smaller though. I was like, nah, bro, he's still a bad matchup. And people gonna look back, they're gonna realize we let Tank get out. He got away from a lot of opponents, a lot of guys that could have been difficult. Because the one thing people said was Tevin Farmer ain't got no power. And he went out there and dropped Zepeda. And Zepeda don't get dropped. And Zepeda throws what, 500 punches a fight? He give you 500 chances to drop him. And he never get dropped. And Zepeda was running over some good fighters too. That's why the Shakur fight, it's gonna be, they're gonna make sure that it's gonna be an action-packed fight. But Shakur, it's kind of like the underdog right now though. He's kind of like the underdog. He can go out here and it might be a Jamel Herring situation. Because usually when Shakur is the underdog, that's when everything go bad. When people just being nice and like, oh, we expect the best for you, he go out there and have a so-so performance. When he feels like he the underdog, yeah, Zepeda might get the brakes beat off of him. But if he go out there and throw a lot of punches, he's gonna give himself a chance. Zepeda got to figure out what worked for Oscar Valdez to last as long as he did. I think Oscar Valdez just being wild and unpredictable is what made him last all the way to the end with Shakur. Shakur was beating him up bad early. Yeah, what she said about beating Floyd. Yeah, man, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. A lot of guys were talking about, yeah, man, some guy came on here. He was like, yeah, Carissa Shields, she a feminist. She talking about she can beat Keith Thurman. First of all, Carissa Shields grew up fighting men because none of the girls that she grew up with could actually fight. So when everybody sit up here and say, man, Carissa Shields, she be always trying to fight a guy. She's been fighting guys for the last 20, 30 years, bro. That's what she fights. She fights like a man because she's been fighting men for 30 years. So you got men that don't even know Carissa Shields talking about she thinks she can fight a man. She's been fighting men for 30 years, brother. Sorry to tell you that. She's the best woman boxer ever because she's been fighting men for 30 years. All right, dog. I'm gonna holler at you, J-Man. Shout out to my dog, J-Man. Yeah, that's the most offensive thing I ever heard in boxing. That's a lie, y'all. I'm telling you. I know it sounds bad that a girl sitting up here saying she can beat up dudes and everything. Bruh, she been fighting dudes, bruh. Her boyfriend was a professional boxer. Matter of fact, her ex-boyfriend is the guy who just fought Erickson Lubin. This girl is always around boxing. She's sparring boyfriends and everything. She's not a regular female. This girl spars her boyfriends. She was talking to Terrence Crawford about sparring. Yeah, that's what she does. That's how you be the best. Holly Holmes, she's in the gym working with a man. When Carissa Shields went to MMA, she was working with males. She's trying to be the best. She don't care if it's a girl or a man. She wants to be going against the best. That's how some people operate. That's how they made. Some guys be thinking about gender too much and they just out of their lane a little bit. Then they talking about what Serrano and all these other girls is doing. They ain't doing nothing in boxing compared to Carissa Shields. But rematching people they lost to twice. They bringing men and everything into boxing because they know what time it is. They know what time it is. You know it's bad in women's boxing when people got telling you, hey, lose 40 pounds so you can fight Elisa Baumgartner. Like, man, I ain't got no competition in boxing. I got to lose 40 pounds to fight a regular champion. Y'all tripping. So yeah, until these other female boxers start fighting men like Holly Holmes and Carissa Shields been doing, they're not gonna get better. I'm pretty sure even with Layla Ali, she didn't grow up fighting a whole bunch of. I mean, she was fighting girls. I'm pretty sure she was fighting men along the way, and yeah, that's how she got better. But yeah, people don't know that though, so that's why a lot of these females out here. That's why what's the girl name? Caitlin Clark. That's why she playing like Steph Curry right now. All these other girls is playing against females, and she playing against men. That's a real feminist. Somebody who just only fight females. Oh, I'm only gonna get better fighting girls. Okay, well, you're gonna be the girl who fight men gonna go upside your head, and you're not gonna look good. You're gonna be going back and forth like Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. Not nobody want to see nobody throwing no floppy punches all day. We want to see somebody throwing out stiff jabs and going for the knockout and dropping people. I ain't trying to see nobody breaking skin all day, rubbing gloves and tape against each other all day. And these 2-minute rounds. So how much I'm gonna be paying for a 20-minute fight? So yeah, they out of their mind when they be talking about Christian Shield. And to be honest with y'all, I'm gonna be real with y'all. Before Earl Spence was on the scene and all that stuff, we was already checking for somebody like Carissa Shields. She was on her way to her second gold medal. So really, she been really doing a lot of this stuff before everybody else had. She's a big reason why boxing is mainstream right now. Only Carissa Shields can have a fight going on at the same time they got NFL playoffs, championship games to figure out who going to the Super Bowl. That girl fought the heavyweight chick while they was trying to figure out who going to the Super Bowl. And everybody was watching the fight. The fans know what time it is. They know who to check for. They know who's the real deal talent in boxing. The fans always dictate who's the best. That's why Terrence Crawford is in his position to fight Canelo Alvarez right now. Because the fans, whether they like the guy or not, they know he's the best. It's reasons why they don't like certain people or supporting them, which is fine, or they hold guys accountable. Because it's a lot of guys that will hold a guy like Spence accountable, but they'll be called a hater. Or they hold a guy like Terrence Crawford accountable, they'll be called a hater. Or Canelo or Benavidez or anybody. You know, just certain circumstances. But what I will say is, as far as this, though, they better figure out what they're going to do as far as Terrence Crawford, because they're going to be in a position where nobody's going to be able to duplicate what he's doing. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there's too many fights that guys are getting offered to them right now currently, and they're just looking past those fights. Rarely did you see Terrence Crawford calling somebody out he did not get in the ring and fight. So right now, most of these guys are already starting off on a bad foot. You're calling out people you're never going to fight. Earl Spence didn't do that. Terrence Crawford didn't do that. Please, everybody, quit comparing these guys to Earl Spence. None of these guys is Earl Spence. Earl Spence got in the car wreck and still did what more of these guys did. This dude almost passed away and still jumped in the ring. If he don't love boxing, I don't know who does. I mean, he did everything everybody asked him to do, right? After he got in the car wreck, almost passed away. He fought Terrence Crawford. No excuses, did what he wanted to do. Boom. He been out 2 years. And everybody talking about he done. I mean, bro, people felt like he was done after the car wreck. If he can't take 2 years off, I don't know who can. All these other boxers are taking 2 years off. I mean, it's crazy out here. It's just hypocrisy all over the place. And I can literally say that Earl Spence has literally fought everybody. The only person he hasn't fought is probably Ennis and probably Charlo that people was asking for. They said Canelo at one point, but I felt like they were too far away. But it wasn't far away, though. It was actually right there. I'm pretty sure if Spence didn't have the Crawford fight, he probably could have fought Canelo. I definitely think Canelo would have accepted that fight. Canelo's team would have accepted it. So that fight could have happened. He said Race Fair's favorite fighter. Says for the best. Yeah, everybody. Hey, J Man, everybody. Bro, everybody been saying Terrence Crawford the best. Then you got people out here talking about he gonna knock Canelo out, but his resume ain't good. How you gonna knock Canelo out? How you know he gonna knock Canelo out if he ain't got no resume? Now they making us look bad. They making us seem like we just want to see Canelo knocked out now. That's the crazy part about it. It's like, man, y'all making it seem like we just going after Canelo now. And I'm being real with y'all. I'm being real. I respect Canelo for taking this fight because y'all know it's a lot of people that did not take fights with Terrence Crawford. I don't care how much money was offered. It's a lot of dudes that have not tried to fight Terrence Crawford. That man had to fight Sean Porter. People didn't even know him and Sean Porter was friends. He had to fight Earl Spence. He don't have a problem with Earl Spence. But for people to say he don't think he's an elite fighter, of course he doesn't. That's one of his easiest fights. People don't think that Deontay Wilder is elite heavyweight. And that's one of Tyson Fury's best fights. I don't know why they understand that when it comes to Tyson Fury, but when it comes to Terrence Crawford, nobody understands. They say Terrence Crawford they said Deontay Wilder is a trash boxer. He only has power. Everybody keeps saying that. And I feel like they only know about knockouts in boxing, everybody who says that, because they don't name none of the heavyweights that can box. Y'all notice that? All the heavyweights they say they can box, they can't box. Every heavyweight these people say they got skill don't got no skill. But they talking about how these guys is better boxers than Wilder and everything else. But then when you look at Tyson Fury's resume, that's the first name that come up. That's the first name that comes up. So I don't understand that. Guys is getting discredited as far as resumes. Just don't understand. But it's gonna hurt a lot of these younger guys because they really want to fight people. And Turkey Al-Sheikh is gonna put them in position to fight people. But I think the people that came before them in the Canelo era, because this is Canelo's era, in the Canelo era, I feel like a lot of these guys is they've been squeaking by, man. Matchmaking at its finest. This Kovalev fight is matchmaking at its finest. This is the first fight. I told people this last year. Everybody laughed at me. This is probably the biggest thing I've said on my channel, probably. I said last year, Canelo picks his own fights if he wants to. I said he's not picking his own fights right now. Everybody thought Canelo being 34 years old, he's picking his own fights. And you can look this up. I think it was on Big Boy Radio in California. I think they either came to his house or something. This is around the Berlanga fight. He said, I don't pick my fights. He said, I don't pick my fights. People don't know this, but I don't pick my fights. They was asking about opponents and Benavidez. He said, I don't pick my fights. What did Canelo do in January? He signed to fight Jake Paul. Turkey Al-Sheikh picked the phone up. He said, what are you doing? Canelo said, I ain't doing nothing. He said, you finna lose this deal. I'm not finna give you this deal again. You go through with the Jake Paul fight. I'm not doing it. Canelo said, oh, Jake Paul, you're going to have to wait. I'm finna go with this Turkey Al-Sheikh situation. And Canelo's team is like, what? Canelo didn't even go over it with his team. This is the same day. As soon as Turkey Al-Sheikh called him, they got the deal done. Canelo made that happen. His team was in charge of that before, but Turkey Al-Sheikh called him directly and said, I don't know what your team doing, but you better take over right now, or you finna get left behind. We ain't waiting till 2026. We moving now. You trying to fight Jake Paul first? Nah, we ain't doing those type of fights. That's what Turkey Al-Sheikh said. He said he's not doing those type of fights, those YouTube fights. So he's not finna go in. And you know, people will say, well, he did the Ngannou fight. Yeah, but Ngannou went out there and dropped Fury though. As much as I didn't agree with that fight. Ngannou dropped Fury. It's a lot of boxers that can't do that. Matter of fact, Usyk can't drop Fury. So Turkey Al Sheik, he a lot smarter than me on that one. I wouldn't have thought that was possible. So yeah, he definitely, I'll be man enough to admit he got a lot of credibility with that one. I didn't see that one coming. I didn't think that was gonna be competitive like that. Not to that point. So yeah, he definitely has some credibility as far as that, but he feels like Jake Paul is not a professional combat fighter who put his life on the line, or he just came into it as far as with money, similar to how Turkey Al Sheik has came into boxing. He's like, hey, I came into boxing off money, but I'm putting together classic fights though. I'm making sure that Tyson Fury fights twice. I'm making sure that Canelo Alvarez fights Crawford. I'm making sure that Beterbiev and Bivol fight each other. The fans ask for a second fight. Some people want a third fight. But yeah, he's making sure that Ryan Garcia gets the main event fight he wants. He's making sure that Canelo gets the money he wants. He's making sure that Inoue is going to fight the elite guys that people want to see him fight. So it's stuff happening right now, but I think the last era has put a lot of pressure on these young guys though. Like Virgil Ortiz and Boots, they're going to have the most pressure because their names have been just inked with Terrence Crawford. Now their name is right next to Terrence Crawford. Anything Terrence Crawford does, they got to do. Terrence Crawford went to 54. Everybody Terrence Crawford didn't fight at 54. People going to want to see him fight. They saying Boots already. He need to fight Charlo. They want to see Virgil Ortiz fight Baccarin. A lot of these fans are new, so they feel like once they see Terrence Crawford do it, all these other guys are going to have to do it. Then you're hurting yourself because you're telling other people Terrence Crawford, no, he has a weak resume. So if Terrence Crawford has a weak resume and you go out here and fight the same guys and you struggle, that's going to mean that you're weak. You can't devalue guys who can possibly beat you just because you want to one-up another boxer outside the ring instead of doing it inside the ring. People will say, well, they ain't got the chance to do it. Hey, start knocking everybody out. You start knocking everybody out, people going to notice. Trust me. Don't nobody be knowing the guys that Tank be knocking out. But once he knock him out, they already know what time it is. His name gets bigger. It goes viral, everything else. They nobody know who Eastside Cruz was before he fought him. And that fight didn't even have a knockout in it. So, yeah, just put the fights together. It's going to happen. But I think guys comparing themselves, the only person that can do that right now, compare themselves to an elite fighter on that type of level, is like a Benavidez or somebody. Or even a Dubois. He's putting in the work right now. But these other guys, nah, y'all ain't running that hard. And look at what Daniel Dubois is doing. Daniel Dubois is not a bigger name than these other guys. Daniel Dubois is fighting Joshua, Usyk, Big Baby Miller, Hrgovic. And these other guys talking about, yeah, I'm waiting on one name. One name? You got more names in your division than they have in heavyweight division. How is Daniel Dubois having 4 elite fights in a row? Really 5 or 6 elite fights in a row. Because he fought Usyk, then he fought Big Baby, then he fought Hrgovic, then he fought Joshua. Then he finna fight Usyk again. He was supposed to fight Joseph Parker. That would have been 6 elite fights in a row. And this is like in what, 2 or 3 years? And these people waiting around like, yeah, man, y'all gonna get left behind. Okay. So yeah, the young guys who gonna show up, they showing up now. It's not gonna be no situation like Terrence Crawford where guys can hold out and say, well, he ain't fighting nobody at 47 and he needs to put in the work, needs to get a belt first. All that stuff can get cut out. So we're gonna go straight from talking about making the fight straight to things like Canelo versus Crawford. It's not gonna take 3 or 4 years to happen like it was in the past. So once guys see that start to speed up a little bit, you see guys start to fall off. Turkey Al Sheik telling Teofimo, hey, we making fights now over here. You got to sign this fight. Oh, no, I got a problem with this, that. Okay. I'm moving on then. See, Turkey ain't like these promoters. He ain't like Bob Arum and these other guys. You ain't putting the fight together, bro. We moving on. For some reason, Canelo got the message, but Teofimo ain't get the message. But that's what happened when you sit up here and you get a regular resume because it got one name on it. and you say this guy's elite. They got people running around saying Teofimo Lopez resume is elite, but Terence Crawford resume is trash. That's not gonna help boxing. I hope people realize they've been saying this for about 5 years now. And it's not helping Terence Crawford. It's not helping PBC. It's not helping Earl Spence. It's not helping American boxing by pushing that narrative. It's not helping Canelo because once he loses, it's going to look bad on him that he lost to a guy who has a weak resume according to everybody else, who couldn't knock out Majramov. It's going to look bad. It's going to look bad also if Majramov has a better performance than Canelo. That's also going to look bad. So, yeah, the pressure definitely on. Because I noticed last year, I'm like, okay, people don't realize it, but, you know, guys like Haney and Dubois, they're younger than everybody else. So these older guys that's older than them, they need to start moving. That's why people was like, oh, Bacoli's the boogeyman last year. I'm like, hey, bro, he's 32 years old. I'm pretty sure everybody know who he is. He ain't been walking around 32 years and don't nobody know who he is. If that's the case, he ain't no boogeyman. I don't know no boogeyman that's 32, 33 in boxing that's walking around and, you know, everybody just don't know who he is and they scared of him. No, that's not happening. In Terence Crawford's case, sound like he's the boogeyman. The man is 2-time undisputed, and they talking about resumes. That's boogeyman stuff. They like, oh, I don't know how he got here, man. He got all these knockouts. I don't know how he beat Earl Spence. Like, just boogeyman stuff. It sounds like you're talking about a ghost when they talking about Terence Crawford. It sounds like a horror movie. They don't know how it happened, but it happened. As soon as somebody gets, you remember on Jeepers Creepers? When people was getting snatched up, they like, I don't know how it happened, but it happened. That's what's going on. Terence Crawford, that dude off Jeepers Creepers. And he just hanging around driving that old little truck or whatever. And he hunting guys down and snatching them up. That's why Canelo talking right now. And y'all notice Terence Crawford ain't a big talker. He's not a big talker. He getting in front of Canelo. He's saying the same stuff he said to everybody else. Canelo kind of out of character right now. Oh, you're a great fighter. You're a great fighter, but you ain't got no elite resume. How you know I'm great if my resume ain't good, though? Could you explain to the fans how you got to that conclusion? I would rather Canelo explain during the podcast how Terence Crawford is great, but his resume is trash. It don't really take that long. I could promote this fight good, to be honest with you. It wouldn't take me long to promote this fight. This fight will do 1 billion views easy. Just got to ask the right questions. But saying a man's resume is trash and that going viral, that's not going to help. I know we in a new generation now. We got kids promoting boxing, but what's going on, dog? Jay Smith. Shout out to Jay Smith. What mascot that is? That's the Birmingham Stallions. That look like the Birmingham Stallions mascot. Shout out to Jay Smith out there. But yeah, Chucky said if Earl would have beat Crawford, I would promise he would have fought Boots right after. I mean, Earl will fight anybody though. He said that a while ago, but I'm just not seeing it. Earl would have fought anybody though. Earl fights anybody. I don't think that's a big problem. I don't think that's a big problem. I think more people got a name off Earl than Earl got off of them. I would say that. I think a lot more people got a name off Earl than he got off of them. Because when he fought Mikey Garcia, that blew Mikey Garcia up a lot. And Mikey was winning. He was fighting too, but blew him up a lot more. Yeah, shout out to the Stallions, man. I ain't go to the game this year. I went to one last year. Canelo said Crawford better than Mayweather, but his resume is trash. That don't add up. Thank you, Chucky. I'm glad you said that. Thank you. Thank you. I think you probably just talking trash, but I don't know, man. You know, Canelo, he says the same thing when he's talking to a boxer, so maybe that's just something he always say. I'm not taking it too serious as far as from Canelo, because I think Canelo really feels like Terrence Crawford is better than Floyd. The only reason I say that is because Floyd wasn't knocking guys out like this. Floyd was not knocking guys out like this. Even Floyd knows that. If Floyd was still knocking guys out like Terrence Crawford been doing the last few years, Floyd would still be boxing right now at an elite level. By this time, Floyd already lost his power. He ain't really had no power like that. But even Floyd knows, man, if I was 37 knocking guys out, what? I'm definitely moving up. And I'm going to stay in boxing. So, yeah, Terrence Crawford just a different guy. He be taking care of himself. But Canelo knows that Terrence Crawford is a better fighter than what Floyd was when he fought him, because Floyd was old by then, but Terrence Crawford is a different fighter, though. And then Canelo has to realize if Terrence Crawford was at one division the whole time, and just fighting name after name after name, he would be elite. As far as the resume, if he stayed at 154 or 47 or 35 his whole career and just fought Tank and everybody else who come to 35, Loma, he'll be elite. But guess what? What people don't realize is Lomachenko, when he came to boxing, him and Terrence Crawford was around the same time, and Lomachenko didn't want to fight at 135 against Terrence Crawford. Lomachenko was weighing the same thing Terrence Crawford was. Lomachenko ducked Terrence Crawford to go fight Gary Russell. We can look it up. Matter of fact, I'll tell y'all, I can name every fighter that ducked Terrence Crawford right now. Sabril Matias was at 140 when Terrence Crawford was there. And Sabril Matias knew who Terrence Crawford was, and he looks up to Terrence Crawford. So he wasn't trying to get in the ring with him. Lomachenko could have fought Terrence Crawford at 135. By the time Lomachenko came out of the amateurs, he was already 135. He could have fought Terrence Crawford right on that. He went to 130, fighting guys like Rigondeaux and stuff like that. So he knew what time it was. He didn't want no smoke with Terrence Crawford. He knew who he was. And when you got interviews out here where Lomachenko says Terrence Crawford is the best fighter in the world. He thought that before he had a chance to fight Terrence Crawford. He thought that when he had a chance to fight Terrence Crawford. And he thought that after he passed up on the opportunity or never even asked for it. Terrence Crawford is a small guy who's gotten bigger over time, and he's worked on his body, and he's able to carry weight easy, and he's getting guys up out of there at any weight class. He's not supposed to be going from 135 to 147 knocking guys out. And what's crazy is these guys won't even ask Tank to go to 47. But Terrence Crawford goes to 47, knocks everybody out. And he got a regular resume. These dudes don't know boxing. They don't know boxing, and this is the wrong way to promote the fight. Y'all see right now, I'm not really talking bad about Canelo or Crawford. I ain't got to really trash these guys to tell the truth. Like I said, Canelo still is a guy who, in history, you're going to see that he's one of the only people that actually took a Terrence Crawford fight. Him and Earl Spence. Charlo ain't take that fight. I'm going to tell y'all right now, Charlo ain't got no reason why he turned down Terrence Crawford. I'm telling y'all, that was the worst mistake I ever seen. I talk about that every day on the channel. I know people tired of me saying that. That was the worst mistake I ever seen in boxing. That is a fight that would have been mega huge. I'm talking about guys that generational knockout artists. and they don't fight each other, and you go up and fight Canelo, then you take 2 years off. Man, what's the plan behind all that? Then Canelo's fighting every 2 years, and you got guys taking 2 years off to only fight once a year. That might be the business plan. I know a lot of things going on as far as platforms, guys going from Amazon, Showtime, and you got people fighting on Pro Box. But we can't be in that position for boxing though. You said it's crazy. Canelo at 55-7 started at 140 and went all the way to 75. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's something that's normal in boxing. I mean, Roy Jones did stuff that's crazier than that. So that's normal in boxing as far as the problem is it's not normal to a lot of fans. So that shows that guys have not been able to be great. They only let certain people be great. How are you gonna have boxing and you only letting certain people be great? Manny Pacquiao, this man's an old man right now, almost 50 years old. This man couldn't even feed himself after his last fight. But nobody questioned him trying to jump up and fight Barrios right now. So he's able to be great. Nobody lets these guys be great without any kind of distractions or noise. But it's a lot of people that can qualify for a fight with Barrios right now before Pacquiao. But they allow Pacquiao to be great. It just is what it is. If this was Floyd, they'd be telling him, hey, man, you need to go ahead and retire, man. You still trying to hang around. You're not even fighting the best guys. People would have said Barrios is the weakest champion. So, it depends on who they want to let be elite and who they don't. Because I think Charlo being able to go up from 54 to 68 against Canelo, and then Terrence Crawford not being able to, that kind of hurt the sport a little bit. They don't realize it, but it did. Definitely hurt the sport. Those are two. That's a mega fight that is not going to happen. It's not really been that many big fights lately that the fans have asked for. Most of these fights are just mandatories and undisputed, stuff that should happen anyways. But we're talking about like fan pick fights that fans hand pick, just not happening like that. This is like one of the first ones, and a lot of people didn't want this fight. This fight had the media trashing this fight. That's why I want to see what the media says over the next couple of weeks before I really get into it, because we have a lot of fights coming up, especially this weekend. I'm gonna cover those a lot more tomorrow, but I just want to see what the media says about this, because they spent the last 4 or 5 years basically trashing this fight. Last year, they told everybody in every boxing article, Terrence Crawford is small, he's too small, all this other stuff, and then they get into the situation with this fight, and now they're trying to build it up. And it's like, man, you just spent the whole year telling everybody that he's small. You know how I'm gonna tell you guys something. We don't have enough time to tell everybody that they told last year. The media told everybody last year Terrence Crawford too small. We don't have enough time to tell everybody, well, he's actually elite. He's actually good enough to fight Terrence Canelo. So most of those people won't even watch the fight. You got guys running around talking about he's chasing a payday. Terrence Crawford chasing a payday. So you got so many narratives, they're gonna miss out on a lot of money just by trying to protect Canelo's name. And that's why I said Canelo went against everything they were saying. The whole media was basically trying to protect him. Like, Canelo, he doesn't need to fight Terrence Crawford. He has a weak resume. He couldn't knock out Madrimov. Just all kind of excuses, bro. All kind of excuses. And if Canelo gets knocked out by this guy, and I'm being honest with you guys when I say this, it's gonna be a good chance Canelo gets knocked out. The only reason I'm saying this, that it is because I expect a lot of trolling from Terrence Crawford, and it's not gonna go well. Terrence Crawford, he's the last boxer you should troll. I'll say him and Lamont Roach second. You said Crawford knows he's losing. I mean, Everybody can lose in a fight. It's about how you lose, though. I'll go ahead and say this. Banner Hawks. I'm gonna go ahead and say this. After Canelo fight Terrence Crawford, he won't be the same. I expect Canelo's fight with Terrence Crawford to possibly be his last fight. He's not gonna be the same. Win or lose, Canelo ain't gonna be the same. If he thinks he gonna get in the ring with Terrence Crawford and talk the way he's talking, because nobody really trash talk Terrence Crawford like this before. Terrence Crawford's gonna beat the brakes off Canelo the way he's talking, and everybody trolling him. You said Canelo has one of the best chins in boxing. Yeah, but anybody can get hit in the stomach and put down though. If you know anything about boxing, anybody can get put down with a body shot. So having a good chin, and then another thing too, I don't want to sound crazy, but who says that boxers can't get punched in the throat? So who says you got to hit Canelo in the chin? Maybe he hits him in the throat and put him down. That's how I see things. Canelo got to take shots from everywhere: chin, top of the head, the body, all kind of stuff. Yeah, Canelo gonna have to take a lot of punches. And from what I've heard, Berlanga feels like Canelo's power and everything else is not really a factor. I've seen people beat up Berlanga worse than Canelo did. So what are we actually basing off of what Canelo's gonna do? Like, I don't really see anything new that he can show Terrence Crawford. I don't think his power's there like it used to be. He's smaller. Root Exposure crazy. Shout out to Root Exposure, man. Everybody go follow Root Exposure. Subscribe to Root Exposure. Yeah, everybody subscribe to Root Exposure. Yeah, I'm talking too much boxing now. Exactly, because I'm still looking at this Kovalev situation. I'm like, y'all got to realize who. Like, this Kovalev win that Canelo got is actually embarrassing, man. Because every time Kovalev says something about Andre Ward, all you got to do is say, man, you got knocked out before Charlo. You got knocked out before Charlo, Berlanga, Munguia. Like, how did you think you had a chance against Andre Ward? And that's the only good win Canelo got recently. I'm telling you, he better go in there jabbing and moving. He better start moving like William Skull. Because one thing I know is Canelo couldn't knock down Mayweather. He ain't finna walk down Floyd. And he was kind of iffy about Charlo. He really didn't want to rush in with Charlo. You can go look at it. I'm gonna tell y'all something else too. When Munguia got up, I think what was Munguia doing first? Munguia was letting his hands go first. And then when Munguia, go look at when Canelo was boxing Munguia after he got up. After Munguia got up from getting dropped, Canelo was shook. Not because he was scared because of the power or nothing, but the way Munguia was fighting, he was like, oh, Munguia boxing now. So Canelo started jabbing. Same thing with Berlanga. Berlanga tried to knock him out in the last 2 rounds. And the sad part about that is those guys went for the knockout towards the end. And Charlo did not. He did it to survive, but he didn't go for the knockout. I thought Charlo, if you go back and look, Charlo, if he would have let his hands go throughout the whole fight, he would have had a chance. That's why Terrence Crawford said, I want to fight Charlo, but nah, not after what he did against Canelo. He said, I'm not going to do that. That's all I needed to hear right there. I'm like, okay. Yeah, that Canelo versus John Ryder again, Rude. Look at when Canelo knocked down John Ryder, then he going to start shaking his wrist. He ended up hurting his wrist in that fight. So now when he dropped these guys, he dropping them, but he not knocking them out like how he did Kovalev. He not really punching through guys. Now when he fought Kovalev, he was punching through guys. But now after that John Ryder fight, he went to that Triple G fight. He said he was still hurt, which I believe. I believe he was hurt. He got to the Charlo fight, couldn't knock out Charlo. But I think Canelo was just happy because he was able to drop Charlo. He just had surgery, I think, recently. So that's what he was happy about. He's like, okay, my wrist still work. You know what I'm saying? But those last couple of fights with Berlanga and Munguia, nah, he can't have those. Terrence Crawford got no fights on his resume like that. That's like Terrence Crawford going 12 rounds with I don't want to be disrespectful. That's like Terrence Crawford going 12 rounds with Rolly or somebody. People can say what they want, but Rolly done been in the ring with a lot of people. So it's really like being in the ring with Rolly or somebody. It definitely is. I don't know if Terrence Crawford, I don't know if Canelo's fought somebody who can box as well as Terrence Crawford since I know Bivol, but Bivol says Terrence Crawford is a smarter fighter than he is. Rule said he took a tank. Somebody do that recently. Dude name what's that boy name? Dude Lucas Body, whatever his name is. He knocked out H2O, Ashton Survey. He made a guy take a knee in his last fight. And it looked like that knee Tank took. This was like a couple of weeks after Tank fought Rose too. I said, man, the dude just took a knee and jumped right back up. I think they counted it as a knockdown though. I was like, bro, if that was me. I'm like, come on now. Check his ass dirty if you aim at the throat. He said Bivol has one of the best defensive guards in sport. Look how bad his arms are bruised up. Yeah, he does. Them punches he was taking to the arms. Yeah, I agree with that. That high guard crazy. That high guard is crazy. But Terrence Crawford always waits until certain times to knock people out. He don't usually just come out unleashing on a guy. So we really never seen Terrence Crawford just come out the whole fight, just pressing the whole fight, trying to get somebody up out of there. Canelo, he hasn't seen that either, so he might get surprised. I think he definitely gonna get surprised. And Terrence Crawford getting bigger too. He don't look heavy like he's putting on too much weight. He just look like he's filling out as far as whatever workouts is working. Probably eating the way he want to. But yeah, this gonna be a dangerous situation for Canelo. I think a lot of people feel like Charlo is better than Terrence Crawford from what I'm hearing. They feel like Terrence Crawford can put on a better performance than Charlo. Bro, I doubt that, man. I doubt that. I think Terrence Crawford can go out here and show Canelo because Canelo ain't punching that much. That's the thing that scares me about Canelo. He's not punching at all. If you're going to be throwing a couple of punches around, you're going to lose. That's the only difference in the fight where I see, like if I had to say he had no chance, if he's punching low like he did against William Skull, he got no chance. He has no chance. He got to look at this fight the same way Crawford looking at it. Now, if Canelo looking at it like it's just another fight, he's not talking like that because he said it's the biggest fight of my career, you know. He said it's bigger than Mayweather fight. Maybe he's just promoting, talking the fight up, which he's supposed to, but as it get closer, we'll see. We'll see. If it's a whole bunch of knockdowns in this fight and a war, yeah, it might be one of those type of fights. It might be a classic, instant classic. I think it will be an instant classic though. I think Terrence Crawford gonna make Canelo fight. That's the one thing people got to realize. A lot of these guys not making Canelo fight. They really get on the back foot real early. You think he gonna get dropped and get up? You think he gonna have a like an Andre Ward situation? I can see that happening. Like what Andre Ward did. I can see that happening. He has been out what, a year? It's gonna be like a year, 13 months since he had his last fight. I can see him going out there having a Andre Ward, Danny Jacobs kind of situation. It's gonna be close though. He get dropped like that. If he get dropped early, it's gonna be close. I think Canelo gonna try to press forward, and I can see Terrence Crawford kind of like getting used to what kind of power Canelo got. Because most people say it's not one punch knockout power. It's like sneaky power, where he knows where to land the shot. Guys got their chin in the air, so certain stuff like that. Canelo know how to get people up out of there. I don't think he's gonna try to go for the knockout though. I think Canelo he gonna try to go 12 rounds like everybody else against Crawford. I don't see a knockout from Canelo. I definitely don't. If it's a knockdown from Canelo, that can happen, but a knockout, I don't see it. His power ain't been there in a while. And the guys who've been fighting him lately hasn't been really bragging about his power. They like, nah, it's just regular power. It's just sneaky power. So he just know where to land the punch. He's not really putting guys to sleep right now. But Terrence Crawford, he can put Canelo to sleep. He can put Canelo to sleep. And his sparring partner fighting good recently, Steven Nelson, that gave me a lot of confidence in what Terrence Crawford can do. I feel like Steven Nelson, his last fight against Pacheco showed me a lot as far as who Terrence Crawford gonna be able to train with and get ready for this fight against Canelo. Canelo ain't got no sparring partners as far as for Terrence Crawford. They were saying something about Boots sparring Canelo, but I don't know. As far as that, that's a rumor to me. I highly doubt it. Because Canelo, he gonna get in the sparring match and actually try to fight you. He ain't finna have Boots up in there and just he gonna try to actually knock him out in sparring. Yeah, I can see that too. He can get dropped too. I can see him like getting dropped, kind of like a Virgil Ortiz situation. Because Terrence Crawford, he said one thing that I noticed. He said he gonna try, every fight. People try to expect him to fight a certain way, but changes it up a lot. So it might be a situation like Dubois versus Joshua. I'm gonna be honest with y'all though. Once I get to the weigh-ins, it's always once I get to the weigh-ins, I be knowing whether I'm gonna pick somebody to beat Canelo or not. I'm gonna say Crawford right now, but once I get to the weigh-ins, I'm gonna know for sure. Really, to be honest with you, I don't think nothing gonna change between Canelo and Crawford. So I can't really even say that. I think as far as with them, you already know what they're gonna have coming to the table. I think both of them gonna let their hands go. So I ain't really gotta worry about none of that. But I'm worried about Canelo not punching a lot though. And yeah, man, everybody subscribe to Rude Exposure too, man. Let's get Rude Exposure to 1,000 subscribers, man. He be out here cooking, man. But yeah, I love this fight though. Love this fight. I feel like this summer, I feel like the fans is gonna build this Crawford and Canelo fight up more than the media is. Like even right now, the fans they've already grabbed this fight and promoting this fight better than the media is. They already know everything about Canelo already. They know everything about Crawford. They know everybody he's fought. They know every trainer they've had, every opponent's resume, how many times guys been knocked down recently, how many knockouts they have, their opponents' performances. So it's been a lot of stuff that's actually been built up through Riyadh season to kind of build up the storyline for Canelo and Crawford. But I think the fans gonna actually have a lot of things to talk about though as the summer go on. The only thing that's kind of hurting it is like Guys like Plant losing recently, Majamov. So it kind of, but both of those guys had somebody recently that lost on the resume though. Plant lost, and you had Majamov lose. That was like two of their toughest fights. Not the toughest, but those were elite fights on their resume. So yeah, it's a lot of people losing right now. It's gonna be hard to kind of base things off fight to fight basis. Who got the better resume? Because with Turkey Al Sheik, somebody got to lose. You know, it's only two guys going up in there, so somebody got to lose at the end of the day. Like you can't go undefeated like everybody else is doing, like Dubois and these other guys. It's not gonna be like that. Now I will say this: if the fight is close between Canelo and Crawford, to the point where they have to do a rematch, or people are going to want a rematch, are they going to do a rematch? I don't think it will go to a rematch. I think the fight will be so big, we wouldn't have to do that. But if anything go wrong and it's close, worst case scenario, it might be a rematch. They might ask to run it back again. That's why I hope they get the right judges and referees. They need to decide on if they're going to be clinching a lot in this fight, because some fights they let the clinching go. Other fights they don't let guys clinch. So it depends. Like some referees, they don't let guys clinch at all. If you try to hold a guy for 2 seconds, they like, nah, break him up, break him up. So it depends on what they want. If they want these guys to just be broken up every 2 seconds, that's cool with me. But if you're going to let the leaning go on, you got to figure out the rules behind that, what's going to be going on with that. That's the thing I'm only looking at as far as the inside the ring. The moving around and running, I mean, that's not really a factor. But as far as the clinching, that has to be looked at. Because some of these guys is clinching so they can burn time. They burn a lot of time clinching in the fight. It's a strategy too. You know, guys fighting the inside, they pull somebody closer, set them up. But you said if Canelo loses, he's going to demand a rematch. That is a fact. So let's hope he loses, because I would definitely like to see them fight twice. And I think the second fight will be actually bigger too. So for the business of boxing, let's hope they actually fight twice. I haven't heard anything as far as a rematch clause. It seems like this is a one and done fight. But yeah, if Canelo loses, he definitely gonna want a rematch. That's a fact, Chucky. He definitely gonna want a rematch. And the fans too. If it's a decision fight, because they want to see Canelo fight Bivol. A lot of people wanted to see him fight Floyd again, but it was unnecessary back then because a lot of people didn't know him. But they knew of his name and Oscar affiliation with him. But yeah, he gonna have a lot of pressure on him to have a rematch though. It's gonna be, if it's a bad loss, like very bad, they still gonna ask him to do a rematch. Because him having a fight like that and his legacy just taking a hit like that, the average fan gonna be like, man, he trash. I'm not gonna say that because, you know, it would kind of disrespect the whole sport at this point. But is his resume as good as he think it is? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know. If Bud goes out there and does what Bivol did, he could possibly still get a rematch. Because I looked at that Bivol fight recently. You can't really rematch Bivol if you Canelo. It's nothing you can really do. Bivol's a big guy. He can't really rematch Bivol and do anything as far as I seen. He's not jabbing enough. He's not moving enough. He was trying to punch through Bivol. It looks sad, to be honest with you. It looked kind of like I don't know. I haven't seen Pitbull in a fight like that. In the Rayo fight, he was kind of like that, but not really. He wasn't just letting Rayo walk up on him. But yeah, that Canelo fight was kind of like worse than when he fought Bivol. It was kind of worse than what Pitbull did against Rayo. But yeah, people still want to see that rematch. So to be honest with you, Chucky, I agree with that. But man, these days they'll ask anybody to rematch. Yeah, the rematches are getting out of hand. You see how they did with Zepeda recently. If it goes like Zepeda and Tevin Farmer, they might rematch that fight. But yeah, man, I appreciate everybody for coming through on the live stream, man. We're gonna be back on here tomorrow, man. Subscribe to Rule Exposure, everybody tune in. I appreciate everybody for coming through. Chucky, my dog J Man came through. Shout out to Aaron, Jay Smith, everybody was in the chat. Trey, shout out to Trey out here. Shout out to Joseph Bailey, always coming through. My dog Gomes in here earlier. I appreciate everybody for coming through. We're gonna be back on here tomorrow. I'm gonna holler at y'all.